cultured person is one who knows something about everything and everything about something.
I'm trying to free your mind, Neo. But I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.
Our Great War is a spiritual war. Our Great Depression is our lives.
Blessed is he who in the name of charity and goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children.
The question was, what did you want to be?
Are you good?
You're like a big bear, man.
I like it a lot.
What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
This is the moment we've all been waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to
Houston, the Eagle has landed.
Welcome. Yes, mate, here we go. You are now listening to and watching TAJ Talks, the home of capturing conversational tangents. Made in the UK, recorded, live and unedited, and going out across all of these great British Isles. To pebble beaches and across to sandy shores, from mountain high to valley low, to leafy green villages and to crowded concrete cities. From down south to up north and to where east is west, and out across the whole of these United Kingdoms, as well as the global village that we call Planet Earth. I'm your host, Taj, like Taj Mahal, but I say Taj. Wishing you a Wednesday welcome to your Friday, or Saturday, or Sunday, or whenever you're watching this. Thank you for stopping by once again to be part of the journey. Special hello to all my JRC people. It's good to have all of you back again. And so, now that you're here, I just have one question for you, which is, are you ready for the tangents? Yeah, man. All right, let's go. Yeah, so welcome. Wednesday, the 16th of September, week 37 of 52, making our way through the year very quickly. And wow, what a podcast this is going to be. This is going to be an interesting one. Let's just get straight. Lots to cover in this first section. Just to say, there's Bob over there. Bob is sitting over there. So he's there. How you doing, Bob? Darth Bob, Silent Bob. Bob. Haven't quite got rid of him yet, but he's here. Now, we're in talk number 9. Getting ready to go into talk number 10, which is going to be end of season talk. Season finale, I'm calling it, even though I am not quite sure if 10 episodes is one season in TAJ Talks land. I don't know. I'm still, I'm making it all up as I go along, to be fair. It's going. And can you believe it? Nine talks. I was about to call it an episode, but 9 talks. And here we are. Thank you for joining me. Now on the stats wise, subscriber wise, last time we recorded this 2 weeks ago, obviously every 2 weeks, means that there have been changes, many changes, not just on the subscription thing. So many changes how many events have taken place, stating the obvious. I'll come to that in the news shortly. But yeah, we have some new additions to the TAJ Talk subscription family. So I just want to say shout out to the latest one that I haven't yet mentioned, Vic. Vic has subscribed. Thank you very much, Vic. Welcome to TAJ Talks. He's in the country, everybody. So he's here. We are hopefully going to be recording at some point, and so you'll all meet Vic live in, not live, but well, yes, in the flesh, let's say. He'll be here, hopefully, fingers crossed. Still trying to get that sorted out. That's not hitting anything? No, it's not. So that's one. So welcome, Vic. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching. Thanks for taking interest. And yeah, man. And then I have another subscription, which this may be the first subscriber that I don't actually know. I don't recognize this person, which would be huge. Someone has subscribed to TAJ Talks from outside the circles that I know. Croquetation. I'm probably getting that wrong. I remember looking at it and I was thinking, I don't even know the name, how to pronounce the name, but there was a new subscriber. I'm guessing that might be an individual called Adam. If that's you, Adam, Croquetation? I don't know. But if that's Adam, then it's someone that I know. If it's not Adam, and thank you, Adam, if it is you, and by the way, you'll know who Adam is because that came about through some sequences and events that happened. I like to do the hands. I like to do the dancing. But if it's not Adam, then Croquenation. I'm sorry, I can't find out what your exact spelling is because that monitor is way too far away from me, and the studio app of YouTube isn't the best. They got to change this studio app. It's so much better just to look online. Yes, who are my 7 subscribers though, man? Tell me who. It doesn't even tell me. This is the YouTube app studio. It's the studio app that you get when you have content. But I can't see my list of subscribers. I really don't like this app. But yeah, so we're up to 18 subscribers. Croquetation, I think it was one of the other names that I have, and then I have my count of unknown subscribers is now 4. But we also have 2. Wow, that was a big S. I suspect there's 5 unknown subscribers. I think one of them is Jimmy Asser's brother. Last podcast talk was Jimmy. So welcome, Jimmy Jean Baptiste. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for leaving a comment on the one with Asser. And I'm going to be talking about the one that we did with Asser shortly. But thank you, Jimmy, for joining. And yes, like I said to you in the comment, man, if you are in the UK at any point and you want to join, it'll be great to have you and Asser here. So thank you for subscribing. Thank you for taking part. And I hope we have many more conversations like that with Asser. And hopefully yourself as well, Jimmy. So thanks for being part of the family. Jubilee, another guy. And I met Jubilee. I'll tell you how I met Jubilee shortly. Again, this is just a quick way of recap of just the subscriptions, but I'll get into events and things that have been happening. Like I say, a lot has been happening. Jubilee, young man, very, very switched on guy. I'm looking forward to having Jubilee come on to this podcast as well, hopefully at some point. So Jubilee, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for joining. Thank you. And then I have, like I say, some other names, but I don't know who they are. And I need to kind of work out who it might have been. Yeah, anyway, so that's that. Now, where do I go? Where do I go from here? And I got to say, subscribers, if you have been watching but you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Yeah, hit the icon at the... I'm terrible. You know I don't like this. Something underneath this, yeah, there's something here. Probably that one. Probably here. There's probably a subscribe thing. Either there. I don't know. Somewhere along here, there's a subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. If you've been watching this, you've been enjoying the show. Yeah, I'll be coming into all the reasons why it's good to subscribe. I don't even know myself. I don't even know what the benefits are of subscription. Although, other than it just shows me who you are, and I can do a shout out to you. Shout out. Yeah. And the whole thing about shouting out. I've got to stop saying it. The whole thing about subscriptions and names is that I can see, but not everyone shows as a subscriber. If I've said this before, if your settings are set so that YouTube hides your subscription to those that you subscribe to, that means I can't see you. So just so you know, but I'll get to all of that now. As I say, talk number 10 is coming up, and I think in talk number 10 I'm going to be doing, like I say, a bit of a review, a bit of a summary, talking about all the things that have been happening in these this first season, last 10 episodes, well, 9 it would have been by that point, and then I will be discussing things that are going to change. I'm not going to go into them now, but there have already been a few changes. Most notably, Bob over there has gone through 3 different helmets. I think just the two helmets. But he's been going through changes, and just my love and affection for him has waxed and waned. But anyway, that's one of the things. So Bob, I'm wondering, in episode 10, I'll be discussing kind of like a summary of how the show is going. Now, got to keep an eye on this thing over here to see and try and keep my eyes on you guys. There's so much to cover in terms of news. Now, Jubilee, I met recently. There's been a lot going on. Foot's getting better. I'm back at work, healing from the motorbike accident. And about 2 weekends ago, I think it was, or was it last weekend? I think it might have actually been last weekend. No, 2 weekends ago. 2 weekends ago, I was visiting Pavle. Yeah, met Aslan. Yeah, he's not so bad. In fact, Roberto and Pavle, obviously Roberto, Pavle's wife, Roberto and Pavle were saying that Aslan was acting really, really sheepish, really, really, like he was on his best behaviour. And they said, Taj, we don't understand. He's never like this. But then I was there, and he really was like looking at, and I could sense it. I could see the body language. I don't know. He seemed to be really timid and really well behaved. He seemed like a lovely cat. He didn't seem like this terrible monster that Pavle had described him as. But they were just shocked and surprised. But it was great to go and see Leona again, and to spend time with Pavle, Roberto. And I was there. I was and get this, everybody. I was preaching. Wow, it's been a long time since I've been preaching, and but I was preaching there at the church, one of the churches there in that area that Pavle is a pastor of. So he was at another service doing another event, a baby dedication, child dedication thing, and I think baptism as well. Or was no, just dedication, and I was preaching. Now, when I was preaching, I was doing my thing over there in one side of Milton Keynes, near Dunstable, and that was great to be there. Wonderful congregation, and it was a good experience for me because preparing for the sermon kind of gave me some things to think about as well, my own personal life, my own faith walk and all that. So, but it was wonderful to be there over there. But I met someone when I went back to join Pavle for the afternoon program in the other church. I met a young man called Jubilee, and he's just got, they had this panel thing. They were talking about the youth and adults and teenagers and parents, and Pavle was on that panel. Congregation for the church were asking questions, all this kind of stuff. There was one guy who was on the panel, a guy called Jubilee, and he was making some statements, and I thought, wow, interesting. I didn't agree with everything he said, but I spoke to him afterwards and just got talking to him afterwards. I said, yeah, well, it's just the way you phrase certain things. I'm not sure I totally agree with that. And, you know, very, very intelligent guy. It was great to have a conversation with him. And as I started to share my opinions on certain things, and he kind of said, I see where you're coming from. Maybe I did phrase it the wrong way. What I meant to say was this. And regardless of what you were saying, he was just a very switched on guy. Very, very nice guy. And I think it would be great to have him on the show. So look out for that. Jubilee will be hopefully coming onto the show at some point. Need to find out a date for when he can. As I say, Vic hopefully should be on the show as well. And Rav is hopefully we're going to get something arranged for Talk 10. So Rav will be there. And then there's going to be something special in Talk number 10 as well. Kind of mentioned it already, but I won't say anymore. But there'll be something a little bit different in Talk 10. I was going to do a full-on just me talking to you for most of that Talk 10, but I think, as I say, I want to spare you guys that disaster. Now, coming up to halfway through this first half of the podcast, and I got so much to cover in terms of news. What else could I say? What else has happened? Well, let's just say the guest for today is, man, everybody, it is Aunty Heather. I'm so looking forward to this. She should be on her way shortly. She'll be getting the train to here, and I'll go and meet her and then bring her into the studio. So we're going to have that coming up, so all of that to look forward to. So that's talk number 9, and just a quick summary. Now, there's so much to talk about. Now, the big news, I think everybody's aware of it now. When I uploaded the one with Assad, and I need to go and just talk about the one with Assad. When I uploaded the one with Assad, the news had just broken. I was uploading it. I was preparing the file, the program for uploading, and the news just broke. Of course, the news of the Queen, Queen Elizabeth II, has passed away. What a huge thing. And whatever your thoughts are, it's just a huge moment in history. Whatever your thoughts are on the monarchy and of the British Empire, I've had some conversations. Now, before I go into that, I just want to say the talk with Assad was so good. So good. The viewing is really rocketing. There are lots of people watching that. So I just want to say thanks to Assad, because he really, I particularly loved towards the end when he really shared some of the personal things about his family, the reasons why he became a Christian. And we only just really got into it. But the first portion of that talk with the Hebrew Israelites, man, as his brother left that comment, Jimmy left that comment, and Assad and me have spoke about, we're going to do more of that. We're going to delve into so many things. Like I said, that one was about going down the rabbit hole. That's it. That was one of those where you're really going down into the rabbit hole and exploring things that you don't usually consider. Wild stuff, but also very, very interesting. Now, thank you to Assad for coming on to the show and doing that. So, as I say, let's get back to the big news. Yeah, so it wasn't factored into any of the recording last time when I did the upload about the big news, which is the Queen passing away, and now we have a king. Wow. So I'm just going to cover some of the news, and it only makes sense to start with that. So you are now seeing what I am seeing, and I'm going to start with... Now, I just want to start with one news story, actually, which is there has been an individual called Chris Kaba, family of Chris Kaba, heartbroken, demand to see body cam footage of incident. Whilst all this stuff is going on about the Queen, there's been quite a major incident that's happened in terms of... police shooting a young black African lad, British African, I should say. I think, yeah, there's Chris Kaba. He died from a single shot to the head in Streatham, South London, on September the 5th. So this was, this was just a few days before we found out. Now, this event, I was just seeing the reactions of people talking about the Queen and racism and the police and all this kind of stuff. And I just noticed that this event with Chris Kaba is it reminds me of when Mark Duggan. Something happened just prior to the London riots, and I think it was sparked off by Mark Duggan. Now, I'm not saying that there's going to be riots, but I'm just saying that there's something here to be aware of, because many people with the whole royal family, the monarchy, I've had conversations with more than one person, and there is divided opinion on the monarchy and what's going on and the attention that the press is giving to this one event. Now, understandably, it's the Queen, so everything's going to take a back seat. But I do just want to mention that and just mention this thing, this incident that's happened. It's something went wrong. The police kind of stopped his Audi, and it's a homicide probe has begun into the death of Chris Kaba, who was shot by the police. So now the main news that is filling everything else in terms of news media, my Apple news feed, is obviously the Queen passing away. And as I say, it's kind of dividing a lot of people. There is this one article here which talks about people have a right to protest against monarchy this week, the police say. So there's this whole thing I've been seeing on the news as well, where people who are, expressing views that are against the monarchy are literally being arrested. And you see that picture, not our king, it's colonial subjugation of the Welsh people. So, this is something there's a bit of volatility here. People absolutely have a right to protest against the monarchy following the death of the Queen, police have said. Now, that follows after some incidents when people were being arrested for expressing views against the monarchy. There's this one here. Queen dies. Why are protesters holding up blank signs? I won't play the video. The group says they don't think we have a democracy if you can't protest. Well, the whole news, this news article is contained within the video. But simply put, it's this thing about kind of we're expected to react in a certain way, and mainly basically positively in terms of the monarchy. And with sadness. But I've seen articles that are coming out. One of the articles that came out from the Apple thing was, how you should respond, or what to do if you're not responding in the way that you should. Which I'm thinking, I'm a little bit. What do you mean the way that you should respond? I'm not sure if there is a way that you should respond. You will respond the way you respond. Anyway. So right now, what's going on is this is the latest thing, the latest news. Queues to see Queen Lion's state grow as William and Harry to join procession. So there's the coffin in Buckingham Palace was make its way to Westminster Abbey, Westminster Hall at 2:22. So not long from now. I'm sure it's all over the news whilst I'm recording this. They've probably got helicopters flying around anticipating when it's all going to start. So the Queen's coffin is going to be passing out. So that's the latest. Apparently, the Queen helped design the state hearse, so the Brits would have a clearer view of her on her final journey. So she, before obviously making plans for her own departure, she was doing that. We are now in the Carolean age. Money and stamps. What changes with the Queen's death? So it's going to be. So you see that thing, the E2R, Royal Elizabeth Regina II, Royal Mail. That you're going to have a new cipher for Charles, and obviously stamps are going to change, money's going to change, passport's going to change. So yeah, we're now out of the Elizabethan era into the Carolean era, or Caroline era. Liz Truss called it the Carolean era, but I've heard someone else call it the Caroline era. Don't know which one it is. I think there's a lot of don't knows about what's going on right now. Stop leaving Paddingtons and sandwiches as Queen tributes, mourners are told. So apparently people are leaving sandwiches, marmalade sandwiches. I think that's what Paddington Bear was famous for, liking marmalade sandwiches. Anyway, so they're leaving Paddington Bears and sandwiches, but apparently they're being told not to leave them because there's probably rotting sandwiches lying all over outside Buckingham Palace. So yeah, here we go. What will era of King Charles be the third known as? I just kind of did that. I've got so much news to cover, by the way, because most of this has been taken up by the death of the Queen. Yep, new monarch King Charles III is a climate champion, but Liz Truss, Prime Minister Liz Truss, calls the shots. Now, here's the other thing about Liz Truss becoming Prime Minister. Apparently, it's been over a certain number of over 100 years, since that the last time that a Prime Minister and a Queen were, or a monarch, were or some kind of monarchy change, whatever, happened in the same year. Man, we've had it in the same week. It's pretty wow. It's just, did you see the whole thing about the double rainbows over Windsor at the time that she was pronounced that she'd passed away? Double rainbows started showing across Windsor Castle, and then apparently when the coffin was coming back from Edinburgh, there was a beam of sunlight that hit the coffin. I think there's a picture here somewhere. I can't find it now. Now, King Charles is our new monarch, climate change king. He's going to be all about climate change, but apparently he can't anymore. He can't be so controversial about these things anymore. He has to take a back seat. But yes, there's this thing about him signing something with a leaky pen. I wonder if I could show this. And he gets a bit frustrated with the leaky pen. He's asking the date as well. He's very demanding as a king. Well, he's a king.
Is it September 12th? 13th, sir. Oh, God, the wrong date down.
Put the wrong date down.
13th? Yes, sir.
It's not a good start.
You said 12 earlier. Oh, God, I hate this.
He's getting upset. Oh, no. He's throwing a strop. He's throwing a royal strop because of the leaky pen. Oh, wow. Look at that. Wow. Wow. Yeah. So he gets a bit frustrated, I've noticed. And you know when they were doing the proclamation at Parliament, the first thing that he did, the first public address, he was signing something on a table, and there were these ink pots on the table. You see those ink pots there? And he kept kind of batting them away. He was like, get rid of these. Get rid of these things. And it turns out that the ink, even I was looking at it going, those ink pots look like they're getting in the way. I mean, there's no need for ink pots. You've got a pen. Why have they put ink pots there? Apparently those ink pots were put there by William and Harry as a present to him. No one told him. Someone should have told him, be like, oh, by the way, Your Royal Highness, Your Majesty, which one is it? Can't remember which one it is. Ink pots are from the lads, you know, just. But then no one told him, so he was batting away these ink pots. So here we go. Debate on severing ties with the monarchy. I might just have to read the headlines because there's too many news articles. Debate on severing ties with the monarchy reignites across the Commonwealth. Yeah. Do you know what? Not just across the Commonwealth. I think we're going to have issues about Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland. Everything is going to come up for review. I've already covered this thing about people wanting the right to protest during this time and express their views. Now, there's a law change signed off by the Queen that has changed the royal family forever. So the Queen, one of the things that she did, apparently, she has signed a law which now means that William's next in line after King Charles. Then it's William's eldest boy, George. But then next in line isn't going to be the youngest son. It's actually going to be the middle one, which is Charlotte. I think her name's Charlotte. So for the first time, a female can be in line to succession, and gender does not prevent her from being in line. So that's what the Queen did. Now here's something else. The Queen's secret letter lies hidden in a vault that can't be opened for 63 years. There's a letter, handwritten note by Her Majesty to the people of Sydney, lies in one of the city's historic Queen Victoria building. Now apparently it can't be opened until the year 2085. It's very mysterious. I wonder what she's put into that thing. Right, and then apparently here's another one. Oh man, I'll go into that thing about Theresa May in a bit. Nelson Mandela. Now, Nelson Mandela apparently got away with not being able to be so formal with her. Apparently, every time he called the Queen, he didn't have to go, hello, not hello, good evening, Your Royal Majesty, whatever. Apparently, he would just say, hello, Elizabeth, how's the Duke? So, yeah, he was in good terms with her. Now, did everyone see this thing with Theresa May? I got to play this. Theresa May turned into a stand-up comic. It was brilliant. Even I listened to it and I went, that's hilarious what she did. You got to listen to the whole thing. But here's one of the best things. Theresa May ended up being funnier than Boris Johnson when they all stood up in Parliament and they were just summarising the things that were happening, the passing of the Queen. Listen to Theresa May. She turned into a stand-up comic. Absolutely brilliant. I'm going to fast-forward it to the moment when she starts talking about cheese.
It is with prayers.
Here it goes.
With
Watch
King Charles
this.
III and the whole of the royal family. I remember one picnic at Balmoral which was taking place in one of the bothes on the estate. The hampers came from the castle and we all mucked in to put the food and drink out on the table. I picked up some cheese, put it on a plate and was transferring it to the table. The cheese fell on the floor. I had a split-second decision to make. I picked up the cheese, put it on the plate and put it on the table. And I turned round to see that my every move had been watched very carefully by Her Majesty the Queen. I looked at her, she looked at me, and she just smiled.
Oh, man.
Remained on the table.
Here we go. So, I mean, there was so much other news. Here was one of the ones. And what do you do? That's the Queen talking to God. My goodness. Hey, here's more news. No time to cover it. We'll be back after the break. 2 minutes. See you then. Welcome back to TAJ Talks. Like I said, everybody, special talk today. Returning guest for the second time. Say hello to Aunty Heather. Welcome.
Hello. Nice to be here.
So there, over there for you, Aunty Heather, you can look into that camera and say your hello to everyone in there.
Hello to everyone. It's lovely to be here. I hope you're keeping well.
So that's Aunty Heather, everyone. She's here, and we're going to be here for 2.5 hours, Aunty Heather.
Okay.
And we've already started talking about so many things already, even just on the walk over here.
Yes.
How do you feel?
I'm feeling great.
Excited?
Yes, I am.
Lots to talk about today.
Yes, I think so.
We've got particular topics. Do you want to let everyone know what the particular topics that we're planning to go into today?
Well, we want to talk about prayer and feelings and why we're here, or purpose why we're here. That's what we're going to talk about today.
There you go, everyone. So, prayer, feelings, and our purpose? Purpose. And identity.
Identity.
Okay. Yeah, ignore that camera. You can ignore that camera now. So, just back to where we were before.
Yes.
So we do this in the same way. How does it feel to be back in this room again after all those... It's been months now? Has it been a month or...
Already, I came in July.
June? Oh, it was July. You're right. Yeah, it was back in...
July.
Yeah, it was July.
Yes.
Okay, that's a long time. That's
July or 2 months ago.
Yeah. Does it look like the same place, or does it seem slightly different?
Well, I see something new.
What do you see this new?
Those new gloves or whatever.
Oh, really? They were there.
They were there. I didn't see them there.
Yeah. Maybe you didn't notice that they were there.
I didn't notice they were there.
Yeah. I don't think anything else really has changed.
No, I don't think so.
Bob has changed. Do you remember Bob?
Yes, where is he?
Where is
I was looking, but I haven't seen him.
I'll introduce you to Bob in that section when he usually comes out to say hello.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's gone through a few changes. Have you been watching some of the podcasts?
Yes, I have.
Yeah?
Yes, I have.
How do you find them?
Well, I find, especially the three boys.
Oh, the three of us.
Yes, that was very funny. And Daniel.
You like the one with Daniel?
Yeah.
Yes, three of us, Moy and Kyle.
Yes.
So that was my housemates.
Uh-huh.
And then, there was the one with Daniel.
Yes.
So you like the one with Daniel?
I like the one with Daniel.
What was it about those two podcasts that you enjoyed?
Well, I didn't enjoy the boys because they're funny, they make you laugh.
Yeah.
And that with Daniel give you assurance.
Yes.
Give you time. Don't give up no matter what it is. Just keep holding on. Even though it seems they want to give up, don't give up. So I picked that up from Daniel.
He really enjoyed your listening to your podcast as well, the one with you. He said to me about that one, he said that it was that one when Daniel came up to me at work and he was saying, Taj, he goes, he says, you don't realise it, maybe you don't realise it, but there are certain things that are said in the podcasts. And he said that, you never know what a person is going through, but they really might need to hear certain things.
That's true.
And he was saying that on the basis of when he was listening to your one, because I was asking him that day, I said, have you seen the latest one? And he mentioned it, which I think was Pavle at that time, was the latest one. And he said, yeah. And I said, yeah, you saw the one with Pavle. He went, no, the one with Aunty Heather. And I went, oh, you seen the one that just came out before that?
Yeah.
So he enjoyed that one as well. We could maybe even go and visit Daniel. I wonder if we might.
That'd be lovely.
Yeah. When you were getting ready to come here at the train station, I was there, as I said. So he's literally there above the train station.
Okay.
So we could even go and visit him later today. I wonder if we can do that. So what have you been doing in the time?
Well, very, very busy. I went for holiday.
Yes.
I went to Spain.
Yes.
It was lovely.
Yes.
A little bit different because of the COVID and so, but it's lovely still. The sun.
Yeah.
And when I came back, I would just keep going. I went visiting the other children, and we had a big celebration. We had
it
weddings,
was
beautiful. Yes, on Saturday, James'
wedding,
Nathan's. So it was beautiful.
Yeah,
I was just keeping busy. It's really, really busy.
Have you been back at home though since coming back from Spain? Because you said it's.
Not really.
You haven't.
But it's today I've been back. Honesty, really and truly, honesty. Today is back. I'm in my own home.
That's the first time since coming back from Spain.
Since I'm back from Spain.
You said your bed was missing
yes.
you. Was your bed missing you, or were you missing your bed?
Yes, I was missing my bed, but maybe the bed is missing me as well. Okay. But it was just lovely, just all good, and give God thanks for His goodness.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing when you come back from a long time away. And you come back to your house, your home, your bed. You feel this, I don't know. It doesn't matter what you've been doing, where you go. Yes. But there's always that feeling of,
yes.
Yeah, just to be back.
Yes,
yeah.
It was lovely.
Yeah, the wedding was amazing. So just for everyone, my mum and dad were invited to join in the family celebrations.
So lovely having you.
It was so good to be there. You looked amazing. I kept saying that to you, and I was just like, "Wow, you guys look amazing."
Thank you.
I even saw it on your WhatsApp profile. You changed the picture.
Yes, I changed the picture.
Yeah, I could show that, but I don't want to take away too much time.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, Auntie Heather, you looked like the hairdressing situation got sorted out in the end.
Yes.
Give God thanks.
Give God thanks and praise. You see, if God is in something, no matter what the challenge is, it's going to come out beautifully.
Yeah.
Just have to wait and be patient.
Jamie was happy with everything in the end.
Yes, she was happy with everything in the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Praise God.
God was in control. Just challenge, but it's good. Stay focused.
I remember there was one day I was talking to you on the phone. You said there's a few challenges coming up, and you have to kind of just remind everyone we'll get through this. We'll be okay.
Yes, God is good.
How late in the night did the celebrations go on? The partying?
We had to, but after 11, because we had to get out before the time.
Okay.
And we didn't want to make the person who's in charge of the venue be sad, because he was more like an elderly person. And we don't want to have that noise at that time. And people around, so you have to be conscious of that.
Yes.
So that is why we're trying not to do too much things to keep on time to
prolong.
Yeah. So we're right on target.
Auntie June and Auntie Paula brought their dancing shoes, though.
Yeah, they did.
I saw when we were sitting at the same table with them, and I saw at one point Auntie June was laughing with Auntie Paula, and she was like, "Look at these," and I said to them, I was like, "The dancing shoes?" They were like, "Yep."
Yes, they're so lovely people. They're really lovely people.
Man, they were really, my mum, my dad. There was one point when I was sitting next to Uncle Dave, and then Auntie Paula was there, and then Mum was talking across the table to Auntie June.
Yes.
Auntie Paula was talking to my dad. I was talking to Uncle Dave. Then my dad started. Then my mum wanted to join Auntie Paula, so Mum moved over. So I said, "Okay, I'll move down." So I moved over a bit. Then my dad wanted to talk to Uncle Dave, so I said, "Dad, come and sit." So I ended up just sitting on the other side.
Yes.
Mum, Dad, Auntie Paula, Uncle Dave, Auntie June was sitting there, and it was just so amazing to see.
Yes.
Once again, like my family, just Mum and Dad, just getting on, having a nice conversation with them, laughing.
Yeah.
Uncle Dave was looking at my mum at one point. He was just like just staring at her, like. Because he could see my mum, she gets excited, she gets full of energy.
Yes, she does.
Man, you've seen what she's like,
does.
right? And then he was like smiling, and he said, "Your mum's amazing,"
She is.
He said, "Your mum's amazing," and he said to my dad, he said something about like, you're a very lucky man, or you're a very blessed man, or something. He said, "She's brilliant." And I was sitting there just watching my mum, and I was like, "Oh man, here mum's going off." So I went and sat with I've forgotten, there was one lady who I just met that day, and then Auntie June's daughter Stephanie. So I was sitting with them and I was talking to them. And so I was just like, "Oh, my mum's going off on one again." But it was good. They had a great time.
Yes, they were
it was
lovely.
Really nice to be there with you guys all.
I enjoyed it. When I went in, I look in. First, as soon as I go inside the church, I see looking. I was, "Oh yes, they're here."
Oh yeah, you were. Yeah.
Yes, and I was looking, but you were speaking to someone. And I said, "What? They're here. They're here."
When I saw you arriving as well, and you were sitting at the front, and then they said to you to move to the other side because it was all full on that side. Yeah. And I it was only then, there was a certain point in the wedding service, I was sitting there for quite a while, and just talking to Mum and Dad, and then talking to the person who came and sat next to me, and then I saw Uncle Dave, Auntie June, Auntie Paula, and I went, "Oh man, I haven't seen them for a long time." It was really nice. It was really
lovely.
Nice. Yeah, and to see Uncle Lee as well, and had a good conversation with Uncle Lee. He was asking me some questions. He took me out to that a garden bit of that place, and he was just saying, so congratulations on graduating and everything. Oh, so talking about graduating, another thing that we have both done in the time since we've had this last podcast is you joined us for the graduation ceremony.
Yes, and that was beautiful.
How did you find that?
It was beautiful. It was really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
I felt so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And, we have to say to God be the glory, great things he has done.
Yeah.
And it was really a wonderful day. We had some beautiful experiences.
It was.
And it was really a blessed day. It was really a blessed day.
It was one of those important milestone moments just to close that whole chapter. And and I saw the note on the gifts that you gave me, the gift bag.
Yes.
In fact, here it is. I'll read the note on the gift bag.
It's well in good condition.
I've still got the bag in good condition. Yeah.
Yes.
The Lord was with Joseph, and he became successful.
Yes.
Genesis 39, 2-6. Fly high.
Yeah.
I never stop talking about this whole eagle thing now.
Yeah.
Every time I see myself in a situation or someone who's like, I always bring out that example of like, do you know what an eagle does when they come across a storm? They head straight for the storm because they start flying high.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing that. Now, whilst I'm looking at this, I also have, therefore, for you, Aunty Heather.
So good.
Have a look in there. That's
Thank
for you.
you.
The thing that's in there is for you. Do you want to have a look at that?
Oh, yes.
There you go.
Lovely.
There's two.
Yes. There's two.
There's one behind it.
There's one behind it.
If you move.
Oh, yes, I get it. Oh, yes, lovely. Are you happy with them?
I am.
Good.
Do you want to turn it around and show that camera? Show what they...
See.
There you go, everyone.
Sweet.
Aunty Heather.
What's going on here?
There we go.
Have they seen it?
Yeah, I think they can see that.
Yes, it's lovely.
Joined us for the graduation celebrations of my... you know what? I'm not going anywhere near academic books now. That's it. I'm done. I'm done this whole studying period of my life. Seems like I've been studying since the time I came out my mother's stomach. Not stomach, but yeah. Wow. So there we go.
Yes.
They're for you. So those
they're mine.
They're yours.
Okay, thank you. I love them.
It was so nice to have you there.
But this is not mine.
The bag, I will be more than happy to hold on to that bag.
Yes, this is yours. But I will keep it in here for now.
For now,
until I'm going.
Yeah. Oh no,
but it's yours.
You gave me lots of gifts.
Yes,
there was
that's
the
yours.
bag. There was the mug.
Yeah.
See, the mug is over there as well. There's the mug. Yeah, it was
and
great.
Your pad, your pens.
Yes, my pens. I got my pens over there. I got my pad over here, which I'm making my notes.
Right, good, pad. Beautiful, yes.
So I've already got like little notes that I'm making, little observations. This is something that Aunty Heather gave me for the graduation, everybody.
Yeah.
We're just catching up. This is just me and Aunty Heather catching. You guys are probably all watching thinking, what are they going on about? This is our chance. We haven't seen literally haven't seen each other since since actually I was going to say since the last podcast, but we have the graduation, the wedding.
Yes.
But prior to those events, we haven't really had a chance. You've been so busy preparing for the wedding.
Yes.
And as I say, I've been going to the graduation, all this kind of stuff. So this is our chance, everyone, just for me and Aunty to catch up. Now, I want to also say, do you realise that of all the videos that have been released on the podcast, yours has by far the highest number of views. It really is in stark contrast. It's in 3 digits.
Yeah.
It's in the hundreds. The number of views that the video that we did together, the podcast that we did. So I want to say thank you for being there on that first guest interview and for coming back, because I've been looking forward to this. You know, I'm still in technically kind of like season 1. So this is talk number 9. And I was kind of thinking of doing, bringing back people in... Oh, what's happening to my screen over there? Why is it kind of... Bringing back people who I've interviewed already in talk number 11 to 20. But when I saw how much the viewing figures were high, how high they were, I thought I have to bring Aunty Heather back again, even in these first 10. So with you, I'm doing something a little bit different that I've not done with the other guests, in that I've had you once, and I was so ready to bring you back straight away, so that you're here now. And to be fair, all the other guys that I've been talking to as well, I've changed the way I'm recording things now, so that I'm not going to record. I'm giving things away. I'm going to save this, actually. I'm going to save this for talk number 10, but I will just say that I'm changing the way I'm recording things so that I can have more frequent conversations. So I'm going to slightly change it, because the conversations that I'm having, not just with yourself, but everyone who's coming on here, they're and the viewing figures are good on the other ones as well. I mean, by TAJ Talks standards, I mean, it's still it's nothing compared to some of these huge podcasts out there. But from my perspective, like, even if I have 3 people watching, I always I count it a blessing, that people are watching, taking the time. Exactly. But there is a big difference between the one that we did together the last time. It's in 3 figures, so it's in the hundreds kind of thing. So today I'm looking forward to having this conversation, as you say, about the 3 topics: prayer, feelings, the identity of who we are. So that's what we're going to do today. And you know what? We could probably go into it straight away. I've spent the first half of this, first section of this podcast, speaking a lot about the situation with the Queen and all the rest of it. We could go and spend some time talking about that, but I think even for everyone else who was watching, you saw how much I was trying to get the news coverage away from one topic. I wanted to get lots of different news in there, but I just ended up speaking so much about the Queen. Understandably so, big moment, but we're not going to spend much more time now that Aunty Heather's here, because we're going to get straight into our conversation topic for today. So, you've had some time to think about these topics, right?
Yes, I did.
Let me ask you something before I even ask a question. Did something come to your mind in the time that you've had to prepare for this that you was new to you in any of the 3 topics? Did something come to you that you've never thought before?
Well, not really.
So you more you've had a chance to dwell upon the ideas that you've been kind of developing or noticing over the years anyway. Okay. So if I were to ask the first question, an obvious question maybe, but almost an important point to start. What happens? Even more obvious. What is prayer?
I expect that question.
Yeah, I know. I think everyone was right. That's what I was going to say. What happens when you pray? I was trying to be a little bit different. Let's go with that.
Yes, what is prayer?
No, let's go with the other one, because that's a very obvious first question. What is prayer? Let's go with this. What happens when a person prays?
Well, when someone prays, it brings you connection to the Creator. If you believe in the Creator, that's what it does. But we have to go back and say, what is prayer?
Okay.
Yes.
So let's go back to the fundamental.
We need to say that. What is prayer? Because some people look at prayer in different ways. And you hear today, I've been hearing today that some people will be saying prayer doesn't work. And when I heard it, I pondered it. What do they mean that prayer doesn't work? How do they see prayer? So if you see prayer as a shopping list, then you say it doesn't work. Because you're asking God for all these things, all these material things, and you're not seeing it. So most likely you say it doesn't work. So if you're a customer going to Aldi store, and Aldi normally carries Planters peanut butter, okay?
Okay, that's a brand.
That's a brand.
Planters peanut butter. Okay.
So when you go, you're not seeing it there. So what are you going to do? you're not going to go there anymore. You might try Tesco because they're not providing it. And that's the way how some people look at prayer. I'm praying about all these things, but nothing is happening. So prayer is on the shopping list. Prayer is connection to God. And when you believe, is a way of giving thanks, is a way of giving praise, is a way of growing to believe in the God who created the universe. And then when you see experience and you pray and you believe in prayer, you must believe in it for things to happen. And as you believe, you yourself have to work through prayer. You have to work through prayer because you believe. And you believe that God is in control and he knows everything before you were born. So you're trusting in that. You're trusting in God, the divine. So when you see that and you see you have an experience and you pray about it, you have to say it works. But if you take it as a shopping list, you will say it doesn't work. But if you look at it as connection to grow in strength, in hope, in faith, in courage, and you see that all these things are happening to you, you say, yes, it works. And you must keep in mind that God already knows, because he's the creator of heaven and earth. He already knows everything before we were ever in existence.
See, that's one of my questions. I was just saying to you as we were starting this that I was writing down a few questions that I'd prepared, and that's one of the questions I have. So he already knows. Sometimes I feel like I don't have the energy to pray, the motivation to pray. And I wonder, why do I have to go through and sometimes I just pray. I can't even bring myself to get on my knees to pray. And I will just sit on the edge of the bed, head in my hands, usually because I'm feeling that way already, because I'm just like, I'm so exhausted with life. And I'll just put my head in my hands and I'll just start talking. And then I get to a point when I'm talking and I'm thinking, I know I should tell myself that you can hear. It feels like I'm talking to no one. Because in these moments when I say I struggle to get to my knees, it's usually when I'm struggling, because I just can't bring myself to. I'm just so disillusioned with whatever's going on. And then the question often comes: you already know. You already know what my struggles are. Do you know what? I'm not even going to bother talking because... And I start to get this kind of frustration. I've been having this only more recently. It's been coming back. I say coming back because I wasn't like this maybe 3 months ago, 4 months ago. Even though I had challenges, I was practicing praise, no matter what my situation. But the last couple of months, I've been coming back to this place where I've been feeling a bit more... You already know. You already know. And here's the other side of it as well, Aunty Heather. You already know, and it doesn't seem like you're going to do anything about it anyway. So why bother talking to you when you've already decided that the time is not now for whatever it is that I'm asking for, or that it may never happen because you have other plans, or that you're just going to keep me in silence and darkness because you won't even reveal to me what you're trying to do. There's this moment sometimes when I feel like I'm disconnected from him, when prayer, I know, is that moment when you should, of all times, you should really be praying and talking. But here, I come back to the question, which is, what do you say to someone like me who's in that situation, who says, he already knows. He already knows. And let's just put aside the kind of the grumbling aspect of it. And I'm being honest, I know it's grumbling and complaining kind of thing. Let's put aside the fact of, when I'm saying, well, I don't even think he's going to answer this in the way that... I don't think he's going to answer at all. I don't seem to be getting any answers. It almost seems like I'm just making up it in my head. If something good happens, I'll look for, like, oh yeah, he answered prayer. Or if something doesn't good happen, I'll be like, he may not have had anything to do with him anyway. But what do you say to someone who says, but why even bother praying? In the vocal sense. If God already knows what's in your heart.
Well, I would say to somebody, if they think like that. But first, we have to recognize sometimes how we think causes us to put ourselves in a position and what we're asking God for. Because most of the time we're asking God for material goods. So when you're asking God for these material goods and you're not getting them, that's what gets you frustrated. But when you're asking, remember you said it is to be in His presence. That's what you want, to be in His presence. So when you're asking, you're in a down moment and you're asking God for strength, you will feel that strength. And you're saying there that praise is what keeps you going. But if you stay in the point because of what you're asking for material things. This is what you want, these material things.
What if it is immaterial? Because I understand that bit about the material thing.
Yeah.
What if what you're asking for isn't material?
Well, what are you asking for? Are you asking for praise? Are you asking for how to love? Are you asking for forgiveness of spirit?
Let's take that one as an example. Let's say you're asking, Lord, help me to love people.
Yeah.
Let's say that you're struggling with someone, and you're asking, Lord, help me to. I just the person is someone that I don't think I could love this person. So what if it's not material?
Well, if it's not material, God is still here, and God is still hearing. But it's up to the individual to change the way they think. Because let's say, if you're praying for, you want to love someone, love is already in our hearts because God created.
Yeah, it's already come to the end. That's why I kept looking.
Yes.
It's gonna go quick. And like I've been saying it to the guests more and more now, because I realize it. Even when I was doing the first 30 minutes before you got here, it went so fast.
Yeah.
Before you know it, Auntie Heather, we'll blink and this whole thing will be over. So, unfortunately, it's a break. We were just about to get into the answers to that question. What does a person do when they say, God already knows my heart, why should I bother vocalizing it? You're about to answer that question. We'll come back, everyone, after the break. Wow, I'm sitting off center again. That happens a lot. I need to sit like this. Just noticed it. Okay, we'll be back in 2 minutes for more TAJ Talks with Aunty Heather. See you in 2 minutes. Yes, man. Welcome back. Remember, talk number 10, I'm going to be announcing some changes. But I will say, This track is not going to change. I love this track. Do you like that guitar?
Yeah. You teach me to play that one.
Oh, the mandolin?
Yes, must teach me to play it sometimes.
Yeah, I need to teach myself first. I know a few chords. I think I know the 4 basic chords. F, G, A, D, or E. There's probably more chords than that. I'm sure there are more chords than that. Yeah. Talk number 10 is going to be the one where I make some changes. So, as I said, Auntie Heather, we are... so you can see over there, right? You can see that we've just done... That's the intro that I did before you got here. That's what we've just done. And then we've got these ones left. So you can see just how much we have left, but that's going to go very quickly. So, let's go straight back into it. So the question I was asking was, why should a person bother... Like when I'm having my difficult moments, and I think, do you know what? You already know what's in my heart. Why? What difference does it make whether I vocalize it out loud? What would you say to me? What would you say to me if I came to you and said, Auntie Heather, I don't feel like... I know I should pray. I'm just going to sit there at the edge of my bed, not even getting on my knees, which I don't think is I think God, doesn't matter what position you're in. I don't think it, generally speaking, I don't think the position that you're in stops God from hearing you. I think there is something to being reverent before God, and the more you can bring your mind into a place of reverence by your body in the position you take up helps. I don't think it's essential, though. I don't think it stops God. But yeah, what if I came and I said to you, I said, Auntie Heather, but I'll just sit there, and I'll just sit there in silence, and I'll just think of the thoughts, and maybe just sigh a couple of times and just go... You know, sometimes that's my prayer. Sometimes I can't get further than that. Literally, Auntie Heather. Some mornings I just go, Jesus, bless my day. Thank you. And that's all I'll say. Because I'm just so under the weight of hopelessness to a certain extent. Maybe that's too strong a word, but... Yeah, what would you say to someone like me when I'm in that situation where I say, I like, is it wrong? Is it wrong to not use words? Should we use words? What would you say?
Well, first I'll say to you that it happens. It happens. People go through it all the time. So we get a little bit dehydration. So that's fine. But you don't give up on it. You keep on going. And we say prayer, when you look at prayer is not for God. Prayer is for us. We need a prayer. Because God created everything here. He already knows everything. So when we pray, it is for our own benefit, not for God. So we're praying and we're asking God for strength, for courage, for hope, to live life as how you want us to live. And it comes from within the heart, you know? So, and this morning I was listening to this man, he was preaching, he was praying, and he's using his words, and like he's forced to, like God is deaf or something, and Lord, hear my prayer. You know, hear my prayer, Lord. Lord, be with the people, bless them. I said, why do we have to put all this pressure on this? Yeah. You know, but sometimes, I guess sometimes it's what we believe in, how we think we should do it, and so. But prayer is really for us to stay connected to God.
I can't imagine praying like that every morning. I can barely get that excited on once a week, but yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes we do get dehydrated and we don't feel like, but then we kick back in.
When you say dehydrated, you mean like spiritually?
Yeah, spiritually,
right,
yes.
Right,
spiritually,
right,
yes.
Yeah.
So, and we kick back in. Sometimes, this is not bothering, and we see all of this thing. But when we just look back at ourselves and we say, you know what? When I was praying more often, I used to have my peace because prayer gives that. So you just decide, okay, I know I used to feel peaceful when I pray. So you get back there. And you may fall and you get back there and you keep going and you keep going.
You see, that's an interesting point. So this is where I say because we were talking about how we should do the podcast today with the subject, the feelings bit.
Yeah.
Do you know that's something that I've experienced recently, where I've experienced I don't have the feeling that I had maybe 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, about 6 months ago, maybe even longer than that actually. I think it was actually, wow, it's longer than I know, because when I started working at the warehouse and I took up that second job, I remember for the first couple of months, I was still in a place where I could praise, start the morning, every morning, singing hymns, praising, smile on my face.
Yeah.
You know, there's that hymn, "There is sunshine in my soul today."
Yeah.
And Auntie Heather, I can't sing that song anymore. I can't. You know why? Because I don't have the sunshine on the inside. Something has happened where I feel. So here's the thing. I feel like I'm not in that place where I was. It's like tangible. I can notice there's a difference. And I can't really say that there's anything particularly bad that's happened that's made me go that way. In fact, I mean, look at this whole situation. I'm really, in some ways, I'm more settled and at peace and kind of happy about situations. I don't know. I'm in this new place right now where I've gone back to just, maybe since the podcast has happened, I'm feeling a bit like, okay, but all right, I've started it. It's almost feeling a bit anticlimactic. Like, I've been waiting for this for a long time. Now it's happening. Now what? It feels like but you see, feel. And one thing I've noticed is that my feelings, okay, on this topic of feelings, let me just say, do you know how amazing it is how feelings, I'm going to talk to my housemate when he comes on the podcast this, because we often talk about the effects of coffee. When I'm at work, I can go to work and my feelings, because of the way I've started the day, I know I've tried to pray, not really being able to get into it. I'm thinking about certain things, about the big picture in life, maybe things in the past, maybe some regrets, future, kind of don't know where it's going, looking at what I'm doing now, kind of thinking I don't really think I'm doing something that's what I was looking to do in the ultimate sense. I don't know. I'll feel like that. Then I'll go to work. I'll work my first part of the break, shift. I'll go for my first break. I'll have coffee. Oh man, Auntie Heather, I don't know what happens, but something physical is happening when I drink coffee, which is why I only stick to like 2 max now a day. And even less than that. It's just 1 if I can. Because something physically happens in my brain where I have coffee and suddenly, do you know what, Auntie Heather? It wasn't as a result of prayer that I suddenly felt good. And here's the thing. Full of hope, again, in God, in the things that he's doing in my life. Like I'm walking around, I've just had my coffee, but my feelings have now completely changed. And I've noticed it every time. It's like, wow, the coffee. Didn't have coffee, then I had coffee, and now I'm like, you know what, Lord, everything's going to be okay. Sometimes to the point that I'm flying. And then I started questioning. I went, the way that the feelings changed like that, because I put a substance,
into your body.
So then I went, wait a second. What is it that is connected to prayer? Because I'm walking around work and I'm in my head, I'm singing hymns now. I'm positive. Everything's going to be okay. God's going to work it all out. I start thinking positive thoughts. But I'm also telling myself, Taj, this is weird. This is happening every time you have coffee. So what's going on there? Like, what's the difference between a prayerful life of faith and then just feelings which change and go up and down? What's the difference? What's happening with feelings? What are feelings in the context of prayer? Because as you're saying, sometimes we feel at peace. That's why I was saying all of this. Sometimes we feel at peace, then sometimes we don't feel at peace. But what is that? If peace comes and goes based upon your feeling?
That's a very good question. Now we have to go back again.
Okay.
Now, if we believe that God is our creator, who made this universe, and he created us, and he put things within us when he breathed his spirit, because our spirit is connected to God, only because man came out of God's presence while the world is as it is. But when we look at it and we understand who we are, and we know and we believe who God is, and He knows everything, that peace is already in us. So no matter what is happening around you, that peace of God is a peace of God, not a peace of man. So it's a peace with God and a peace of God. And that's what we need to learn to develop, a peace with God and a peace of God. Peace in Him, peace with Him. So that is within the heart.
Okay.
And no matter what, all the things that happen in the world today, and we have this peace of God in the heart, it doesn't disturb us. Because the peace, if you go back and we believe with Jesus walked on this earth, and He said, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, but as I give you, is that peace, that comprehensive peace that no matter what is happening, it will not disturb. Is steadfast peace. And that is the day that keep the steadfast mind with God, their peace will not be disturbed. And this is where we need to understand and to grow into this peace, is a steadfast peace. And is that peace of God, because God is peaceful.
Is peace then, it sounds like, so what you're saying, peace is above feelings?
Yes, peace is above feelings. So if you have the peace, right, and let's say I'm going through a distress now, this peace from God is not going to disturb my peace, because this peace is from God, and God is peaceful. God, that's part of God's attribute, is His peace. And that peace is offered to us, that peace within us, but we must grow into it. So nothing at all, no matter what, even though you find yourself get up in the morning and your house is empty, you can still rejoice. And there's where peace, there's where joy and praise comes in. So when we go through these moments and we feel we can't go on, we praise, because we know we are honoring God, the Creator, because prayer is not for God. Praise for us.
Right. So let's go back to that as well then, because you're saying prayer, God doesn't need to hear your prayer.
No, you don't need to hear. You don't hear, because He already knows the prayer. He already knows you before you ever born. So He knows. But when we are praying, we are connected. We are connected to Him through our prayer.
So prayer is basically us picking up the phone.
Yes.
And connecting to Him. He's on the other end.
Yes. He's on the other end.
But until we pick up the receiver, so to speak, and start the process of praying, we're not really in a moment of connection.
So it's prayer that makes you connect to Him through faith in Him, faith in God Himself.
Which is why also, I guess, when Paul says, how does he say it? Pray without ceasing?
Pray without ceasing.
So go on.
You pray without ceasing. So you just keep on praying, because you make a connection. And it is so true, because for me, if I'm going through anything and I pray, I just feel that my peace is right there. I feel happy because the peace is within me. God's peace is within you. But then if we make it a practice and we see all these negative things, we cannot enjoy the joy that is within us. And that is what does really happen. Because we are focusing on the circumstances of the distress that we're going through. So if you're focusing on the circumstances of what is giving you distress, you can never experience the joy that is within you. But because that joy is God Himself, because our spirit is connected to Him.
You mentioned joy.
Yeah.
I think joy is another one of those things which is not actually a feeling.
No, it's not a feeling, because that's what I'm saying. It's joy. Joy is from God, because God is joyful.
Right. It's almost like when we say God is love.
Yeah.
So we don't experience that God is loving, although I suppose we do. We see God is, we can
He
observe.
Is love.
Yeah,
He is love.
He is love.
Yes. He's love, and He's kind, and He's grateful.
And He's joyful,
and all of that.
Peace.
Yes.
So
and His grace.
Yes, and He's and He is a God of Paul always finishes his letters, may peace and grace unto you. Or he starts off his letters, peace and grace.
Mm-hmm.
So these are not feelings that come and go.
No, they don't come and go. But we naturally, humanly be speaking, they will go. They will come. Feelings will come because of our emotions. We have our emotions. We're created with emotions. So sometimes we feel sad, we feel angry, but it's not about the feeling. What we do with those feelings, because feelings will always come, and sometimes the feelings that come, they're not real. It's naturally. We could say it's naturally, right?
Yeah.
But when I say it's not real, you may feel something, but it doesn't mean that it's going to happen to you. You're just feeling that way. But so because you're feeling that way, you say, oh, this is going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to you. It's just your feelings because of your emotions. It's just like when someone was giving me a story that they were walking down the road.
Yeah.
And they saw this man, and he was tall and handsome.
Yeah.
And he was smoking the cigarette.
Yeah.
And the cigarette, they have this nice scented smell.
Right.
So they were following the man.
Okay.
And they said, I feel I could kiss him.
Okay.
They don't know him from Adam. But whatever is coming from the cigarette is attracting the person to that man.
Right.
And she felt she wanted to kiss him. But she couldn't kiss him because the man would think, this is a madhouse. I don't know this woman. But it's a feeling. If she'd given to her feelings, she would have been a problem, isn't it?
Right.
So when we have our feelings, we have to look into them. Why are we feeling this way? Because sometimes it's something you're thinking about that gives you that feeling all the time. So when you examine it and say, oh, it's because I was thinking about what I did, why I feel this feeling. So you have to put something positive there. So sometimes we get these negative feelings and we want to give in to them, and we look at life gloomy and things like that. Sometimes we get a good feeling to make us laugh, and we laugh, so it's just our emotions, but we look into it and see what is happening to us. Somebody can be dealing with something that they do not like, and you get this feeling, make you feel angry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Feel very angry.
Yeah.
And because you feel so angry, you said, oh, I'm feeling angry. What are you going to do? What is the best thing for you to do? Because you know how you're feeling.
My dad always says, have a glass of water.
Yes.
My dad always, whenever you start feeling...
Yes, it calms. Or you move away because you don't want any problems.
Yeah.
Like one time at school, a teacher was explaining us about feelings. And he said that there were two friends. They were best of friends. And one of them two of them had an afro. You know what an afro is? A big hairstyle. They plait your hair. Afro.
Afro, yeah,
right.
yeah, afro.
So you plait it, you loose it out, and you make it look very brown and nice.
Yeah.
So there were two friends, and then one of them took very pride in his hair.
Right.
So he wash it, he condition it, and so when he goes to school, he open it, so he look very, very nice.
Okay.
So this friend don't keep his so neat. So he just going always interfering with him, touching his hair, touching his hair. Remember, they were friends,
Okay.
And he said, stop. And he wouldn't stop.
He wouldn't stop
touching the guy's hair.
Right, so that's going to start making him angry.
And he became angry.
Yeah.
And although he became angry, teacher said he gave him one punch. One punch he gave him, knock him down. Sadly, he died.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a true story?
It's a true story. And he died. So can you imagine him? He didn't mean to do it, but he gave in to the anger. So no wonder God says, be angry and sin not. And many people cannot understand that. You could feel angry because that's part of the emotions, but you have to know what to do with it. Walk away.
Yeah.
Don't get involved. Walk away. Because you know what is going on inside you. So the best thing, when we have all these negative feelings, we walk away. And that is why it's so important for us to understand the spirit of discernment. Because sometimes people think the spirit of discernment is just about talking about something, the Bible, and you must know, you don't come and tell me this part religion, don't tell me this, that. You must be discernful and so. But it's also be discernful of ourselves.
Right.
We have to understand ourselves. So if we find we have a habit within us, we may not even look at it as jealousy. But it could be jealousy. So when you discern it, you have to do something about it. Well, I'm really jealous of my friend and I don't like that feeling. So I'm going to do something about it. and then you start doing something to get rid of that feeling. But we have to recognize what we are feeling and why we are feeling it, and then we deal with it.
Is that to say then that it's not the case that all feelings are to be brushed aside and say, I must overcome my feelings? Because sometimes it seems like you have feelings as almost like a warning system.
Yeah.
Like God has given us the ability to feel maybe fear or anger because we're observing a situation which requires a certain amount of attention. And if someone is starting to do something which causes you to feel fearful, it's because you're probably anticipating, I'm in a dangerous situation. Whereas if you didn't have that feeling, you may be blindly walking into a situation which is very dangerous. And likewise, if someone... So you see my point. So, I mean, is that what are you saying that when you talk about discernment, that there's a balance? We shouldn't ignore our feelings, but we shouldn't also be overcome by our feelings. Is that what you mean by...
Yes. We cannot ignore it because it is there. We cannot ignore it. As I was saying about discernment.
Yes.
You know, let's give a practical story.
Okay.
Let's say you have, as I was saying about a friend.
Yeah.
And your friend you're talking to a friend, and let's say you get a new job.
Yeah.
And the friend look very happy for you.
Okay.
And you think the friend is happy.
Okay.
That's because that's what they're showing.
Right.
But within themselves, they're not happy for you.
Right.
But the friend knows, I'm not really happy for you, you know.
Right.
So unless they recognize that, they will keep on with this feeling, this jealousy feeling.
Okay.
Because they're not going to do anything about it because they don't recognize it. But when they recognize it, they come to the senses and say, you know what, I'm really jealous of him. And no, I can't. I don't want to continue this because you know where that will take you. Because if you're jealous of someone, you have a feeling of jealousy. You're going to set traps for the person to get rid of them, isn't it?
Wow.
So you're giving into that feeling of jealousy. So you know it's not a good feeling. So you shut it down. You shut it down by putting something good. And so that means you have to examine yourself to see, no, this is a spirit of jealousy.
So there are certain feelings which just need to be
shut down.
Shut down.
Yes, shut down. So if you don't shut it down, you keep repeating it. You keep repeating it all the time.
You know, one of the things when we were talking about this, remember we went to the graduation, we started talking about fear.
Yeah.
And I was sharing in the car, and I was saying, you know, fear is one of those feelings which I think people don't realize how powerful fear is. Fear can manifest itself on such a subtle level, small level to begin with. But I think that's one of those feelings that fear, as I was just saying, there may be examples when you might be cautious, let's say, but there's something else with fear. Like if God is love, and you know, if we take what the Bible says, perfect love casts out fear, then I don't think that we should find ourselves in any situation if God is love and we are found in God as his children. We're walking in his spirit. I don't think we should be found in any situation where we have a spirit of fear. But it seems like fear is one of those that needs to be completely eliminated. Can you imagine Jesus standing there with everything he was facing in front of Pontius Pilate, everything he was facing in front of him? And if the story is as it's, you know, he was so calm, at peace, as you said, and not even fearful. He was so at peace with what he was about to do. When Pilate was saying to him, you know what, I have the power to release you. And you're just going to stand there and say nothing? And Jesus' response was so fearless. He said, you would have no power unless my Father in heaven gave you this power. So, yeah, I think fear is one of those ones as well. That is so powerful. We need to understand how much we need to get rid of fear.
Yeah, because it goes back again.
Yeah.
It goes back again for us to acknowledge who we are. We are God's children. No matter what anybody says, we are God's children. And God is our Heavenly Father. And his attributes is not fear. His attributes is love, mercy, peace, his graciousness, and his forgiveness, and his goodness. So if we believe who we are, who we are identifying ourselves with God, we will have that fear. Fear will not overpower us. It will come because of the emotions. It kicks in,
Right,
and we
yeah.
know where it came from. Where it came from the beginning.
Right.
So it just comes straight down. So when we know it kicks in, we say, "No, I'm a child of God, and God is not fearful." And He said, "You don't have a power. I give you the power of love, not fear." And people think it's about fear of, "Oh, I'm afraid of the lizard." It's not fair. Trust me. Trust me. As he's saying, trust me.
That was one of the things that they said.
Yeah.
Right in the story of Genesis, they eat from the tree, which they were told not to eat from the tree. And then when God will come, the story says God was walking, asking Adam, "Where are you? Where are you?" And Adam's first response was, "I hid myself because I was afraid."
You see? So because He comes out of the presence now, so the fear kicks in. And He comes in right down to us. And that is why we have to get back to who we are.
Who was He afraid of, though?
That's the good question. Who could He be afraid of but of God Himself? Because there was nobody else this. He had to be afraid, God afraid. I've done something wrong.
He wasn't saying he was scared of the serpent.
But no.
It's the narrative is telling us he was like, God is looking for
yes.
him, and I was like, I'm hiding from you.
Yes, I've done wrong. I've come out of that presence of God.
And this comes back to the idea of knowing who
you are. Who you are. And it's a lesson that the whole world needs to understand that. You know, and when we understand that, do you believe we'd have all this war? Because we just want to be kind and loving and merciful to each other. And that's what the world needs today.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Okay, so we're getting into this. I want to talk more about just this particular bit about the garden narrative and fear, and because we're starting to go into that third topic again about the identity of God.
Yeah.
So we've got like prayer, feelings. Then I also want to come back and talk about, like, it seems like the connection out of the problem that came from the Eden situation is reconnecting to God through prayer.
Yeah.
Let's go back to this after the break. I hope you're all enjoying this. We'll be back in 2 minutes for more TAJ Talks with Aunty Heather. Part 2, everyone. Part 2. My guest is here for the second time. First time that my guest is here for the second time. And also back in 2 minutes. See you then. Welcome back to TAJ Talks. Me and Aunty Heather can't stop talking even during the breaks. We just talking our way through the breaks. And then we're trying to get the balance right of carrying on the discussion, but then also saving it so that you guys can all be part of the conversation as well. So, welcome back. TAJ Talks. Talk number 9. And this talk we have... Trying to get the music just right. I always get this right, usually. It's Aunty Heather. Yeah, there we go. Aunty Heather's back here for talk number 9. We're talking about prayer, feelings, identity as a child of God, a relationship with God, and how we can kind of apply all this to our daily lives, practical lives, with all the challenges that come our way. So, Aunty Heather, as we were just talking in the break, as I was just about to share, it seems like we have a problem, symptom, solution thing going on here. So, the problem seems to be that we have lost our connection with our Creator.
Yes.
However, either in our own personal lives, or if you talk about the story of humanity, all of humanity has kind of been disconnected from God from the moment of Eden, and we have this this propensity, I guess is the word. I mentioned this last time, the propensity to sin. You know, I came across something that was saying that last time I was talking to you about I don't think that we are born in sin. I think that sin comes as a result of our choices. And as Paul writes, there's no one who hasn't sinned. We're fallen. We are part of a fallen race. There's no one who can say, I've been, from the day I was born, I've not made one. We end up making those mistakes, which seems to be the consequence of being born in fallen nature. So it's kind of waiting there to get us, kind of thing. And it's like what he says to Cain. You know, when Cain is upset that the Lord hasn't accepted his offering. And the Lord says, he doesn't say that you were born in sin. He says, sin is waiting at the door. But, you know, the implication kind of is like, it's up to you whether you open the door.
Yeah, you don't have to.
You don't have to. But then this comes down to the thing of like, well, we are constantly being presented with choices and things that we could do, should not do, try not to do, and then sometimes we fail, sometimes we succeed. But as I say, we seem to be in a problem situation that we are ultimately. I don't think anyone here can say, hold up their hands anywhere who's watching this and say, I've never done no wrong. I'm always connected to God. I mean, that may be true now, but will they be confident to say, and I will never lose we seem to rise and fall and stumble, and we try to make our way. So that's the problem, disconnected from God. Symptom seems to be, one of the symptoms seems to be that we sometimes carry a spirit of fear. Other symptoms, as you mentioned, jealousy, whatever the characteristics are of a fallen nature. But then the solution seems to be finding some way to reconnect back to God. And I think that's the bit that we were just talking about earlier, where prayer is that bit. So we've lost our identity, our original identity, knowing who we are. We're now under the challenging situation of having many different feelings and trying to work out which of these feelings need to be, close the door to those feelings, shut that feeling down, which feelings we can allow to come in to help us. Maybe we need to be aware of certain situations which require certain feelings. And then we also need to work out, the solution seems to be we need to get back to a connection with God through prayer. How do you feel about that? What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts, just before you were talking about sin, because the last time I was here, I wanted to say something, but the time. Because when we look at sin, we're looking at committing adultery, living careless life, and all these things.
Yeah, the big ones,
yes.
huh?
But the sin is actually turn away from God. That is a sin, turn away from God. And that's why he says that all have sinned and come short of God's glory. Because, and then people will say about a baby, but the baby doesn't know about God, but the baby has to be instill God. You have to instill the baby into God, so the baby don't know anything about God. But because God's Spirit breathed into us, God's Spirit is there also in us when we are babies. But then we have to be taught, we have to grow into it and learn things of God, and parents has to inject that into their children. So when we look at it now, fear comes down because man disobedient, all of this come down, right down to us today. So how are we going to get back there? We're going to get back there first. We acknowledge who we are. We are children of God. We must acknowledge this. And God is our creator, the one who created this universe, who knows everything before we ever born, because he brought it into existence.
Yeah.
And so he knows everything, okay? So now we want to get back there. And so we're going to have to trust. That is the thing. Trust. So we have all these feelings going on with, but we trust God because feelings is just part of our emotions.
Right.
But as you're rightly saying, that we have to know what we're accepting, because sometimes it could be something you're just thinking about that give you these feelings.
Right.
Maybe you had a bad experience and that bad experience just kick into your spirit. And then it start to make you feel all these negative feelings. And then you start to act upon the negative feelings. Then you start feeling ill. Then you start feeling you don't want to go nowhere. Then you start feeling distress. Then you start to want to just shut off yourself from everybody. And you say, well, I don't feel good today. I have a low day. I don't do anything about it. And then tomorrow comes, you feel that way again. And it keeps growing on you. But then when you recognize, you know what? Yes. Don't say, oh, you don't feel this way. Because you have that feeling.
Yeah.
You must acknowledge it.
Right. That's important, isn't it?
It's very important to acknowledge it. Because when you acknowledge it, you want to look into it and say, oh, it's because I was thinking that I got raped. So I felt this way. And then you start weeping. Then you start questioning, how could this man do this to me? And now I'm pregnant for this man. You don't see no brightness there.
So you're saying it's important to stop, acknowledge how you're feeling, even if that includes that you're feeling in a low place. And then you're saying, actually, stop and consider why you're feeling the way you're feeling and look back to maybe things in the past which you may have experienced and understand that it's just memories of the past that are affecting you today.
Yes. So if you don't do that, what is going to happen? You're going to be in bondage all the rest of your life. You're going to be in bondage. And then when you feel that feeling, you react to it. And you keep reacting to it. But then you have to say, yes, that is the past. And I'm hurting. But I'm going to live above this now. How am I going to do this? I need to start. When I feel it, I'm going to, let's say, you practice to talk to a friend.
Right.
You know, I'm feeling this way. Let me call my friend and talk to that. Because when I talk to her, she showed me a better way of life. And I'm taking this step. I'm going more to the gym. I'm going to the library. Whatever you decide to do to try to get you to work through that. Because you still have the memory. The memories be there. And the memory kicks in. Right. And then sometimes somebody say something, it kicks in.
Right.
But you don't want to be in bondage. You want to be set free from it. So it's our emotions. And even though you're a child of God and you go through something, you know because you believe who you are and who God is, you through prayer. Prayer will help you to overcome. And you say, peace. God says, give me my peace. And you read, God says, he never leave me nor forsake me. God says, I can trust him. God says, your beauty, your ash is going to turn into beauty. And you say, well, God says, he give me my peace, I'm steadfast. He will never there, he's always there, his love is forever. And so he reasons this way. And that's what the word of God is. It builds you up. And it takes time, but you'll get there, but you have to stick to it. But you must come to the recognition that how you're feeling, acknowledge how you're feeling, so you will not repeat the same thing and the same action that you did before.
So it almost sounds like there's a cycle and you need to be aware of the cycle. Yes,
you have to be aware of the cycle.
And then you need to make changes to break the cycle.
To break the cycle. To break the cycle. If you don't, you stay in bondage.
So what we're talking about basically is you need to do some self-searching.
Yes, searching of yourself. Yeah. Yes, self-searching.
That can be quite a painful thing though, Aunty Heather.
Yes, you see, to go to a change, is painful. And to go to the future is still painful. But you see the joy in it.
Right.
You know, you see the joy because you're working towards the joy. So you're thinking about it. And that's what has happened to sometimes to us. We go through an experience. Sorry.
You okay?
Yeah, let me get myself together. You go through an experience that you feel like you cannot feel it again. You cannot overcome it.
Yep. 1 second, Aunty Heather.
Yeah. Thank you.
Take your time.
Yeah. You go through an experience that you feel you cannot overcome it, feeling again. And you say like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't. So it stays in you, but you're not finding a positive thinking to help you to overcome. And this way, discernment comes in, as you're rightly saying, that you search your inner self and you see, and you said, yes, I'm going to overcome this. You know, and if you believe in God, you say, well, God's grace has the power because he loves me in case and his goodness. And then you stop and you think, and then you see the goodness of God is all around you. Even though you may not say God, it's there just because you do not tap into that yet, you do not acknowledge it as yet. But then you see it and you feed yourself on that, and that will help you to overcome that distress that you go through. But if you don't, you just go on and think, oh, I'm okay. You're not okay. You're not okay.
Right.
So if you don't acknowledge, I'm not okay, I need help, I know God's going to help me. Maybe you have good families to talk about the situation and they're there to support, to give you the strength, to say, you know what, why don't you just try to do cooking or something that you're interested in? Find your own interests and start. You start helping yourself. Your life will change. It takes time. But you tell yourself, you know, I will rise again. Yeah.
There were certain things that you said in that, some steps, which I think are important to just go over again, because in that process of coming to acknowledge the things that we struggle with, and then you said sometimes talking to someone helps. So you pick up the phone, you said, hey, this person always encourages me, so I'll talk to this person. So that seems to be one important thing.
Yeah.
When feelings, you see, sometimes almost like, this is how I feel. Feelings sometimes can be so overwhelming that even in your own personal private prayer with God, as I say, it can feel so overwhelming that it feels as if nothing can change. The way you're feeling right then in that moment won't be affected by anything you say to God. That's how it feels. But then it seems that, and I've noticed this as well, as soon as I step out into the world, come out of my prayer closet, so to speak, and I start to interact with people, and sometimes even when I start to share some things that I'm struggling with, and why I'm feeling down, and just someone asking, how's your day? And I'm honest, and I'll just say, I'm not feeling so great, not having a great day, I feel a little bit depressed today, I don't know what it is, couldn't pray this morning. So that seems to be important. But then the other side of it as well is you started mentioning some scriptural verses. I'll turn your beauty into ashes.
Yeah.
How important is it? It seems that, I know as well for me, just this week, I remember being in this place where I couldn't pray, wasn't really feeling hopeful about anything. And there's so much to be hopeful for as well, and thankful for, in terms of when I look back and see where God has led me. But these feelings get us to such a point. I think you were saying something earlier about sometimes these feelings also get us to a place where we start fearing things that never even happen. They don't even happen. But we think the worst. And we think, oh, I'll always be like this. Or this situation is never going to change. And then in a moment, I just remember feeling this impression to just turn to one of the Psalms. And I turned to one of those psalms, a specific one in my mind. It said, an idea came, like, turn to this psalm. So I turned to it. I didn't know what to expect. Auntie Heather, every single word of that psalm, from beginning to end, it was as if I wrote that psalm.
Speaks to your heart.
It spoke to my heart in such a way, like, I couldn't bring my words out to vocalize it to God how I was feeling. And then his spirit led me and said, go and read this psalm. So I thought, I know that's you're speaking to me. So I went to that psalm, and then it just changed everything in a moment, because I saw, when you read the word, whether it's an encouraging text or you just turn to the word, and then I saw it was that particular psalm. It was his way of going, I know what you're feeling. I know the struggle that you're going through. Like, I'm aware of it. I'm so aware of it. And it changed everything, because in that moment I felt that peace. And I went, you are there. You do know what I'm going through. And I felt this burden lifted off suddenly. And I just remember that there was talking to people has been one of the things which you've just mentioned, which helps. Turning to scripture. And another one, which I've shared this with you on some past occasions. The power of giving praise. And I don't just mean saying it, singing it. It's one of those challenges that I've found where I don't feel like giving praise to you, God. Literally like that. Sometimes it's I don't feel like giving praise for my situation, and other times it's almost quite angry with God. Like I said, that's been happening a bit more these days. I don't know why, but I've been thinking, I don't want to praise you. You're not helping me in the situation that I feel like I need your help. And I can't bring myself to praise him. And I remember there was this one time when I was waiting on God for something to happen. And I just felt like, you're going to let me down. You told me to wait. And I'm looking at the situation. It's gone from bad to worse. And it's got from bad to worse because I've been doing it your way when everyone else around me was saying, you're mad. You're just waiting for God. And I just went, I can't get away from this impression. God has told me to wait. And I remember it was like a day before, because I was just looking at the calendar. And I just went, you said something very specific to me. And now I look at the situation, and I remember Auntie Heather. This was when I was living in that place, Field House, when I was left the home and everything, and I had nowhere to stay. And I was standing there in that bathroom, and I heard the impression saying, "Start singing." And not just start singing to me. And it said even more, start praising me.
Yeah.
And the way I was feeling Auntie Heather, I was so angry. And then I hear this impression saying, I know you're angry, start singing. And start singing to me, start praising me. And I couldn't get away from that impression. I just, through gritted teeth, I started singing. It really was just almost like mockingly singing.
Yeah.
And then I started singing a few, and that's why I love singing the hymns.
Yes.
I was talking to my housemate about this. There's something about those hymns. I hit a certain verse in the hymn, and it struck a chord with my heart. And in that moment, I flipped in my mentality, and I was literally now praising. I was, man, I don't know how you're going to work it out, but now I trust.
Yes.
Now I trust you.
Yeah.
And there was something about singing. And in that same moment, Auntie Heather, the phone started ringing.
Yes.
And it was the thing that I'd been waiting for. And I was thinking, hello?
Yeah.
And they said, oh, hey, Taj, is this Taj? And I said, yes.
Yeah.
We're just calling you back because a couple of months ago you submitted an application. We were just calling back. Are you still in? And I thought, my goodness.
That's the goodness of God.
Up until that, it's almost as if God was kind of waiting for me to get to a place where he was like, I can't do this until you're in a place of trust. When you trust me, I can unlock the doors. So there's another thing that I would add to that bit as well, is just say, the importance of turning to people, but not everyone as well.
No, not everyone. You cannot do
everyone.
that. No, you cannot do that. You cannot turn. You cannot turn to everyone.
You can't share your personal burdens with everyone.
No, you can't do that.
You have to be very careful. I've realized you have to be very selective.
Yes, you have to be very careful. You have to be very, very careful. And so when we go into these paths, prayer and praise is powerful, because you see, thanksgiving is not just when we get something thanks. Remember I said praise not for God, praise for us.
Right.
So when we we must live a thankful life.
Yeah.
We must live a thankful life.
Yeah.
We must live a forgiving life, because all these are the attributes of God.
A forgiven life.
Yes.
That's important.
Be ready to be forgiven.
Even
though the person who asks for it, you must be willing in your hearts to forgive. You know, like I was telling somebody that last week there, and we're talking about forgiveness, and I said to them, we don't really get the power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not just saying, oh, you're sorry, and it's finished, and right. Saying, if you forgive me, you don't have to forgive me because God forgive me. It doesn't work that way. No. Forgiveness is part of God. It's part of God. It's part of God's attribute. So we have to live that forgiveness. We have to live thankfulness. We have to live mercy. We have to live loving. We have to live a peaceful life. So it doesn't matter what is happening around us. We must still give God praise and thanks, even though we don't feel like doing it. Because we are honoring God, the Creator, and that's what we are doing. So even though we don't feel like, I don't feel like praying today, you still pray. Because you're remembering who you are and who God is. So you will keep on praying because He's real and He's real in your heart. You know, sometimes I had an experience when I went to Montreal early to live. I went to look for a job. Okay. They needed somebody to work at this daycare nursery school. Yeah. And I enjoy dealing with children. And so I went and I prayed. And I was claiming, seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness. Yes. And all these things shall be added to you. Yeah.
I know that scripture verse very well.
So I prayed. And I went there trusting God that I was going to get that job. And I went with confidence. And when the time came, I got a report, I didn't get the job. Listen, remember I prayed? Yeah. And I believe? Yeah. And I felt disappointed. It's the first time in my life I've ever felt like, it seemed like something actually came out of my stomach.
Wow.
I never know what this is. I couldn't believe it, and I was crying for days. Because I trust God, I'm going to get this job. And I cried, and I cried, and I cried. But I give God thanks that I didn't turn and say, but God didn't hear my prayer. God didn't answer. I didn't do that. I didn't go to that place. I just cried, and I just felt this thing that it actually pulled out of me. And I didn't understand what it is. So what I did, I ran to an elderly lady, because you know they would experience, they could teach you. Yes. So I ran to her, and I was crying, and I said, I went to this job, and I prayed, and I believe I was going to get a job, and I don't get the job. And I feel this thing that's just come out of me. So she said, calm down, sit down. And she said, it is called a disappointment. She said, that's what it is, it's a disappointment. But she said, don't worry about it. God sees and God knows before you ever went there. It's going to be well. Don't worry about it. It will pass. It will pass. And it did pass. So while I was there, because it's something I wanted to do for myself, just like when you started in podcasts, I wanted to do this, have this thing for myself.
You wanted to start your own school?
After, yes. Before I had the experience, before I went to the job, I always had it in my mind that I'm going to do that. But this was an opening door now to go there into to get experience. So then after I didn't get through, one day I was sitting down and I was crying. And the thought came, why don't you start it for yourself?
Huh.
So I started it for myself. And
in Montserrat?
Yes. I started for myself. And I was a bit timid and I was afraid. Fear. Yeah. I was supposed to say, no, God doesn't give me a power of fear. I'm speaking to myself now, you know. God doesn't give me a power of fear. God give me a power of love. So one day this lady was passing down and she was pregnant. I just went up to her and I said to her, I'm going to start a nursery in my home. And if you're interested, when the baby's born, you can bring the baby. I'll look after her for you, him or her. And she said, okay, I will tell her dad and tell the baby dad. And so she did. The next day she came back.
She wanted you to carry on.
Yes, she wanted me to take out care for the baby. And I said, okay. And so I started. in my own home. And it was such a blessing. The children would just keep coming. And so happens that the same lady that I went to saw the lady who was in charge and asked about me. And she said she started her own. And she said, tell Mrs. Lee to take 10. I already had the 10.
Oh, wow.
I already had the 10, so I had the 10 children. And I used to take care of those children, all 10 all by myself, with the help of the Lord. And so you see, sometimes people think God doesn't answer prayer, but sometimes he delays it. And so then you forget about it, and then the thing happens, you don't even remember it. Then you start saying, but I was praying about that, and look, now it happens, But we have the in this connection. And so the lady told me what to do, and I did that. And I felt it went. It went. The feeling went. So sometimes we feel disappointed, we feel discouraged, we feel down and all of that, and we just give up. But if we understand who we are and who God is, in spite of everything, we don't give up. We keep holding on because we're trusting in him.
Now you see,
yes,
that is when we come down to what faith is.
Yes.
Because against everything that you can see, everything you experience not getting a job.
Yeah.
But you chose to still believe that God was working in your life.
Yes.
Even though everything around you is telling you this is not gone the way that I expected.
And that's the place we need to get. And the lady was even saying to me,
Yeah, that's all right. No, carry on, go. We've got a bit of time.
Yeah, the lady was even saying to me that we cannot see 20 years from down the road because maybe something inside there is happening. God doesn't want you to be in that situation. And so said that was it.
And here you are. After all those disappointments, here on a podcast for the second time. God is good.
Yes, all the time.
All the time.
He's good.
So we'll be back. That's the ad break music. Say ad break music, there's no ads. I need to consider changing the title. It's just break music.
Yeah.
Aunty Heather, we'll carry on when we come back. After 2 minutes, everybody. See you in 2 minutes for TAJ Talks with Aunty Heather, Part 2. See ya. Welcome back. This is TAJ Talks. We're in hour 3, and I just pointed out to Aunty Heather, clock says 17:33. Third hour, 33. It can only mean one thing.
Yeah.
You know what time it is. It's the witching hour. I've got that 3 times in a row now. Although I agree with Asad, my last guest. I might need to think of a different way of describing the third hour as the witching hour, because yeah, I think about it now, I'm like, witching hour, especially when we're talking about these things. But I did third time in a row, I did my witching hour. I need to think of another way to describe the witching hour. Anyway, look at that. How weird was that, Auntie Heather? Look at my phone, 33. Anyway, now, there's something that I wanted to say when we talk about disappointments. When you experience a disappointment like that, like your situation, you know, in my situation, I've faced disappointments, and they really shake me sometimes. You know, I get to the point where I just feel like, what's the point? There's something that troubles me, even in that situation that you've shared. On the one hand, I was listening to it, and I was thinking, wow, I can see what God was doing there.
Yeah.
Then I quickly put myself in your position when I've had my situations like that, and I can't seem to apply it to myself, which is this. When I experience challenges in life, or a disappointment, even more specifically, a disappointment, something that I was expecting for God to do, like in that situation, God would have blessed you with that job. Open that door, there you go. And for whatever reason, you didn't get that job. And then you went away and started your own nursery. And it's a bit like, that seems to be the story of my walk with God. Maybe I have a warped understanding of what the life of faith means, and walking with God and praying to God and having God answer your prayers. But it seems to me, this is a genuine frustration of mine. I pray to God, I have these big dreams in my head, and they're so big that I say, man, only you can do it. You're the only one who can make this come to pass. There's no way I can do it. And as much as I tried to put myself in positions where maybe that thing can come to pass, I keep coming. One of the things was, I really wanted to go into acting, like really wanted to become an actor. And I'm not just talking about I wanted to be like an actor who would one day maybe get like an Oscar award, you know, standing there and like, thank you, thank God, that whole thing. I wanted to be an actor, and I joined at one point I joined an acting, I think it was an acting agency, but they needed to do photo shoots and all this kind of stuff. They needed to do all this kind of stuff. Nothing came from it. Nothing came from that acting agency. And I was so disappointed. And I had a few other occasions when I was getting involved in like theatre through local church that I was involved in. Nothing came from it. And I started thinking to myself, right, I'm trying to place myself in a position where God can make something of this. No doors are opening. A bit like this kind of podcast thing. I thought, as much as I love my job at Adventist World Radio, I really enjoy the fact that I'm working in that industry. But I always had in my head, I was thinking, maybe this is what God's finally going to do now, is he's going to somehow, step by step, I don't know, at some point in my time working there, I may be behind the mic one day. I might be doing my own radio thing for Adventist World. It hasn't happened. It could happen, I'm not saying it, but I felt like I got to a point where I was just thinking, it's in, you know, because I've stayed on a part-time basis there for a while, and I started thinking to myself, I'm not even on a full-time contract. Maybe I have to do this myself. But then there's something in that where I feel like I'm having to do it. I thought you were the one who was going to help me do this, but it seems like, but you didn't help me, so I have to do it. I have to help myself. And there's something in that which troubles me a little bit, because my understanding, and maybe I've got this wrong, is that, we come to God, we wait upon God, and then God is the one who opens the doors for us and we go through. What do you say to that kind of situation? Like, does that mean that God is actually waiting for us to do things and that actually we're the ones responsible?
Yes, we're responsible. We are responsible. We are responsible to get through in life. But we must recognize who gave us the strength and the power. Back to the beginning again. Our forefathers, parents, what we will call them, Adam and Eve, they weren't responsible. They were created to be responsible. They did not use the responsibility to be obedient, to do what they're told to do. And so it's the same thing with us today. We must be responsible. But I think sometimes because of how what we thought or how we understand, we live into so many voices, we think, okay, I'm waiting on God. I'm waiting on God. You want to do studies, I'm waiting on God. But you're not doing any studies.
Right.
You're not putting yourself, you're not applying yourself.
No, I agree with that. If you're not even but what I'm saying is when you put yourself in a position, you're in the position, you're putting yourself in a position, and every door seems to close in your face.
Yeah, but because you may think that every door is closing in your face because of maybe the way you're thinking. So because you're thinking that this is not happening, because you want to see something happen quickly, you don't want to go through a challenge.
Right.
So sometimes you go through the challenge and you just have to wait as you go through the challenge. But meanwhile you're going through the challenge, you're doing your human bit, what you need to do. You may need to just keep on studying. But if you're saying you're waiting on God, like some people do that, they're waiting on God and they're just relaxing.
Right.
Because they're praying, they're waiting on God and they don't see anything. But God is saying, you're responsible, go and do what you need to do. And I'm here with you. I'm here to guide you. You listen to my spirit leading you and you obey. It's not that you fold your arms and you're waiting on God.
No, that's the bit I agree with you.
Yes.
You can't sit around and do nothing.
Yeah. So whatever you're doing your human bit and you're praying because you already know that God already knows what is there before you. You are doing what you're doing. And how God see this is going to lead your life to be better, it will come to pass. But you cannot just fold your arms and say you're praying and you're waiting and you're not being responsible to do what you have to do as a human bit.
As I say, I completely agree with the fact that you need to do something.
Yeah.
But my struggle is you're doing something and it just seems like you're doing something, nothing seems to be coming from it, and then you give up. It almost seems like God it's like a test of time. How long will you keep doing this thing before you go, I give up?
Yeah.
It's almost like, I think Daniel was saying this to me last time, is like, he said, this is when God is testing you to see how much you really want to do this thing. I'm not sure if that is the case. It could be the case. All I know is that it seems that whatever God's timing is, so I'm not talking about the situation where you fold your arms and do nothing. Let's put that bit aside, because I agree with you. It's not about not doing anything. My frustration is, what about when you're actively moving, you're moving into new directions, you're putting yourself out of your comfort zone, you're growing, you're learning, but then the ultimate fulfillment of what you want seems to be way off, and then you think, how much longer, Lord? Like, it seems to be like his timing is, if you take the example of Abraham, take that example of Abraham. Wanted a child for so long. This is when I get a little bit scared, because you look at the example of Abraham.
Yeah.
He had to wait until he was pretty much an old man. It says, Paul talks about it and says, Abraham, when he considered his body, which was pretty much dead, but he didn't give up on the promise.
Yeah.
But that's how old he was. Talk about relationships. There's certain, it would be great to have someone walking with me in life. I've pretty much given up on that now. And it's not because I haven't tried. I've been involved in relationships to the point now where I'm thinking, do you know what? After what I've experienced, the disappointment, the heartbreak kind of thing that you feel, I just think, you know what? I'm probably not going to bother anymore. So I'm now in a position where I'm thinking, at one point, I wanted to have certain things happen. now I'm at a position where I'm thinking, because of my disappointments, I don't even trust going into this thing, because my experiences have only been discouraging experiences. So then you start wondering, God, why did you allow this to happen? Why did you allow me to go through this situation and be discouraged by these situations, rather than kind of orchestrate events to make it more positive? Maybe in his wisdom, he knows, well, you need to be more refined. Certain experiences need to refine your character. You're not ready for it. But again, I come back to it and say, well, how long will we be waiting? Till I'm 80 years old before certain things start to happen? I don't know, Aunty Heather.
Well, it depends. It goes back again to our mindset. Because sometimes we have all the answers. And we bring these things in our minds and we look at it that way. And so we spend a lot of time accumulating the thoughts in our minds.
I definitely accumulate a lot of thoughts.
So that's what happened. And then we focus on all these thoughts and we're not really going to the direction that we should go, because it's all these thoughts are coming to our mind, and then we become tired and weary.
And worried. And worried.
You see, and they go back to trust again. This we go back to praise. So if I'm praying, let's say I'm praying for a husband.
Yeah.
I want a husband.
Yeah.
And I believe who I am. I'm God's child.
Yeah.
And he's my heavenly father. And I'm praying for this husband. And all I'm saying that I want my husband to, let's say I want my husband to know God and to love him. And I want to work on myself. That's it. And say, Lord, I'm leaving this to you because you know it all. I just leave it. I don't worry about it anymore. And so, but in the meantime, I have to keep myself nice and so forth, you know? So, and if I believe what I'm saying, who I am and who God is, I'm not going to worry about it because I'm going to trust God. And if he sees I could manage a husband, because many people want husband and wives, but when they get them, can't manage them.
Yeah, that's probably a good point, actually. That's probably,
yes.
As I say, it's a preparation time.
Yeah, so you work on yourself. And you say, well, Lord, if it's your desire, that person will come into your life.
Yeah, but maybe it's going to take until I'm 80 years old before
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Maybe that's the moment. You know, like Sister D, she passed away. She was saying she married in her old age, and she could have married before. And then when she got married, it's the best life at the time when she got married.
You mean that she was prepared for a happy marriage,
for a happy marriage,
rather than having years of an unhappy marriage when you weren't prepared for it.
And she was happy, you know. So people have to realize that God knows everything about us, but God wants us to be responsible. We have to be responsible people here. And do what we are doing, and we work along what we are doing, our dream, our vision of our lives, and he take us to where we need to be at the appointed time.
Yeah.
But we keep, because doors will always open, and we will know if that door, we should walk into that door. You know, there's something we tell you, no, that's not the door I should walk in. Because it may come in such a way that it may come with bribery.
Right. Yeah. Well,
so it's oh yes, this is opportunity. But you see the bribery, but you don't want to you don't want to study that because you want to get in there.
Sometimes we can go for the things that we've wanted to do, but for all the wrong reasons.
All the wrong reason. So we have to have the right vision and the right reason why we are going through things. And when we pray about something and we feel disappointed, because we're saying God is answering our prayer because we're seeing it in our own eyes. But you must remember that God knows before we were born. So he knows what's best for us. And we have to keep this in the mind. He knows what is best for us. So if we don't have it, we say, well, God knows what's best for me. And I'm going to be content. And I'm going to have the peace that he gives me to keep me going. And these are the lessons that we need to learn. It's just like saying, if you have a problem, a health problem, God knows you had that health problem. You're going to have that health problem before you're ever born. Because he made you. He made me. So he already knows. And you get that health problem. And you're praying, Lord, just take this away. Take this, whatever it is.
Right.
And it sees that happening. You get angry and vexed.
Yeah.
You forget where you came from. You get angry and vexed. That's the human nature. But when you believe who you are and who God is, and you know you have his peace, you said, well, God is the one who knows that I will be already sick. So because you know that, you stick to that. You stick to that love, his mercy, and his grace. And you know something? You may have pain. This thing what you have, you may have pain. But then you don't have no pain, but you have the problem. And people will see you and say, but I don't understand. How you not complaining about any pain? But you have the problem. So right there you see that God is with you and you can still give him praise and thanks. You just accept, well, this is my condition. But I will still trust him for his leading. And that's what we need to learn to do. Need to learn to accept the things we cannot change. Then the things that we can change. And the things that we wish we could have changed, next time when they come around, we do better. That is discernment of spirit. But God is always with us. And we must believe he loves us. And in case we know a lot of things are going on in the world, a lot of talk, but we have to see, just stop and think and look at your own self. Just look at your own self.
Yeah, that's not always an encouraging thing to do, though.
Because of what we're thinking.
When I stop and look at myself,
just to breathe. Just to breathe.
Oh, I see what you mean.
See what I mean? Just to breathe. Just to see you have your eyes you can see.
Yes.
You see, just to see you have your ears you can hear.
I tell you something in these last couple of days, as I say, I've been struggling with prayer and everything. And I was just saying it to Daniel when I was talking to him earlier, that one of the turning points for me was when I stopped and considered. I said, wait a second. Now, if I think about the two lives that I have, the life when I started to follow the God of the Bible, very specifically, the God of the Bible, which involves a lot of self-denial. And it involves a lot of kind of, you put certain boundaries on your life because you say, I want to live my life in honor of God. I don't just want to live any old how. So there's a certain element of self-denial in that, in everything. In all your interactions with people, the things that you do, the things that the rest of the world does that you go, no, I'm not going to do that. And then I say, man, there's that life. And then there's the life that I lived that I could have lived if I didn't do that. And I stopped and I went, I wonder where my life would have gone if I didn't choose to live this life of faith with the Lord, with Jesus as my Lord.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? Maybe I can't really know how more difficult my life might have been. Maybe what I'm living now is actually been a life of protection, preservation. I've been shielded from so many experiences which I may have otherwise have gone through. I mean, we talk about the motorbike accident.
Yes.
I mean, if I was living a life where I was never thinking twice about God, and I thought, I'm not going to pray before going out on the motorbike, it wouldn't even come to my head. The fact that I prayed, maybe that motorbike accident was a limitation of what could have been. Could have been far worse. So I wonder sometimes that, the power of looking at what could have been or what could be, and then you think, do you know what? There's this thing that I saw, a picture of Jesus standing with his arms out, and there's a person behind him, and he's getting hit by a rock.
Yeah.
And then there's Jesus standing there, and he's talking to Jesus like, Jesus, why didn't you stop that rock from hitting me? But then what you don't see, or the person can't see, is on the other side of Jesus are hundreds of rocks hitting hitting Jesus.
Yes.
So Jesus is there taking the full brunt of the effect, but then one gets through and hits that guy that he's trying to protect. And I often think that that's maybe what's going on, and being grateful. So even when that one rock comes and hits you, it's like almost like God allowed certain challenges to come your way because he knows that will make you grow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think being grateful is something that I got me out of this thing in recent days, when I just went, you know what, when I look at where God has brought me, what he's done, I don't think I could ever have imagined bringing myself out of London into this part of the world, in a countryside. I don't think I ever could have done that on myself. So when I start, and maybe things aren't where I want them to be at a certain place. So yeah, I think gratefulness is a huge part of it as well. So, but before we carry on with this, talking about, going from discouragements, can I ask you a question, actually, before we go to this bit? What is your favourite hymn?
I think it's 532. I think it's 532. That's my favorite hymn. 532.
Hymnal.
Yeah.
532. I think I know what this is before I even go there. something day by day.
Yeah, that's my favorite tune.
It's day by day.
Yeah.
5:32.
Yeah.
Day by day, with each passing moment, strength I find to meet my trials here. Trusting in my Father's wise bestowment, I've no cause for worry or for fear. He whose heart is kind beyond all measure gives unto each day what he deems best. Lovingly, it's part of pain and pleasure, mingling toil with peace and rest. That's a powerful hymn.
That's my song.
When you see the rest of it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, just that first. Auntie Heather.
Yes.
You're going to bless us with your own.
Yes.
So I remember last time you said that you write songs and poems. You've prepared one for us today, yeah?
Yes, I prepared one.
Whenever you're ready, then. What's it called?
On the Wings of Prayer.
On the Wings of Prayer. Okay, everybody. We're going to have a musical item. Auntie Heather, bless us with On the Wings of Prayer.
When life seems empty and no place to go, when your heart is troubled and your spirits are low, when friends seem few and nobody cares, God is there to answer your prayer. Keep on praying, for the answer will come on the wings of prayer. Whatever you are facing may seem much less when you go to God and confide and confess. For the burdens that seems so heavy to bear, God lifts away on the wings of prayer. Keep on praying, for the answer will come on the wings of prayer. Keep on praying, for the answer will come. Yes, the answer will come. Yes, the answer will come on the wings of prayer. Yes, the answer will come on the wings of prayer.
Amen. Amen. Wow. Oh, thank you so much, Auntie Heather.
Welcome. God's blessings.
That's deep. You wrote that?
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that, Auntie Heather. That's something which I think some of these hymns, they have that kind of. They have the power in the words.
Yes, the words are so important.
What made you write that? Is that a song for you? Is that your hymn? Is that your personal hymn?
It's my personal hymn song. It's my personal.
What made you write that?
I was just one day I was just in my kitchen just working, and these thoughts just came to my mind. Wings of prayer, and I just say wings of prayer. And I know what I was going through, at the time. And the words just keep coming to my mind. And I just start singing. And I said, wait, this is inspiration. This is inspiration. I just quickly write it down and I just do it.
Do you I remember you mentioned another song or poem you wrote.
Yeah,
in the storm.
In the storm.
That's another song or poem?
It's a song. Yes, in the song.
Maybe next time we can hear In the Storm.
Yes, I'll do In the Storm.
When did you write On the Wings of Prayer? When did you write this one?
Where was, I think I was here in England.
Okay.
Yes, I was in England. Yeah, I was just inside the house.
Oh, sorry, I should say when did you write it as opposed to where?
I don't remember when I wrote it, but it's good some time now. I wrote it.
And it was during a moment where you were going through some challenges.
Yes.
I wonder if we can get the words to that and then put that into the description on the YouTube thing.
Yes.
I'm going to see if we can do that. I think we're coming up to a break. We're coming up fairly quickly. If we can get the words to those lyrics, Aunty Heather.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yes. Powerful.
Very encouraging as well.
Yes. And then I sang it when they had in church sometime. They asked something about prayer. And the lead was Sister Carl was doing about prayer. So I have a song, I would like to share it, so I did it. And I sang it sometime when they had this program, Monster Day, and the people said they would be blessed. And God is so good, because I always said to you, I have these 2 songs. I would like people to hear it.
Oh, they've definitely heard one of those songs.
It will bless their heart,
I hope we will be blessed next time we have you on for TAJ Talks with the second one as well, and hopefully more. Yes, you should definitely write more.
Yes, I'm going to do more. And just this week, I was doing one, and I did have my pen and paper.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you're a creative.
About hope. Yes, I did one.
Another creative here.
Yes,
We're talking to Aunty Heather. Talk number 9, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that music item. Aunty Heather, thank you so much for sharing that one. We've got another segment coming up. It's going to be our last segment. Yes. So I hope you've all been enjoying this. And we'll be back in 2 minutes for more with Aunty Heather and TAJ Talks. See you after the break. See you in 2 minutes. Yeah, Aunty Heather, you remember this fella?
Yes.
This is Bob.
Did he have a new helmet?
Yeah, see, that's
something. He's fresh.
Yep, that's what I was saying. There's been a few changes already.
Yes.
Everybody's aware of how frustrated I am with Bob for unknown reasons. I've run out of things to do with this segment, but I gave him a new helmet. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It suits him.
I think so.
I think so. It suits him.
Yeah.
He's looking fresh.
Yeah.
Bob.
So it's always so strange when I see the guests interacting with Bob like that. But yeah, there you go, Bob. They like you, even if I don't.
Yes.
You have friends. Well, good friends as well. Auntie Heather's saying hello to you. So there we go, everybody.
Yeah.
Bob is there. I'm not sure how longer Bob's going to be part of this thing. But... anyway, welcome back, everybody, to the final segment of TAJ Talks, talk number 9 with Aunty Heather. We just had a wonderful piece from Aunty Heather, On the Wings of Prayer, we just heard. So I just said to Aunty Heather, we'll get that pasted into the lyrics pasted into the comment section of YouTube so they can follow along and see. Yeah, there's so much that we could still go into here. Mm-hmm. Every time I speak to you, and one thing I appreciate is that I can speak to you in the honesty of how I feel. You've heard me many times yes. when I've really got very, very emotional, you know, with and that can go both ways. You've seen me when I've been very angry with not with yourself or anything. I would never be angry with you, but when I've been angry with the situation around me and circumstances and people, and I've been really, really just struggling to find a way to express it. You know, in some ways, I kind of had this this understanding that if someone like Aunty Heather is able to handle my raw emotions, how strong they can be, whether it's me being, you know, down and upset or even angry, I wonder, it makes me reflect and I think, man, that's a mortal person. So how much more is God able to deal with the reality of how I'm feeling? And I think that today it's kind of been another opportunity for me to just ask you the questions that maybe even many people out there have asked the same questions. I wanted to just ask this thing: is it? I kind of feel I do it less. As I say, I've been practicing more and more to be grateful, to give thanks. And about a year ago, I was in a good place where I was doing that quite consistently, quite regularly for a long time. And then maybe it's kind of just waned a little bit. I was having a few disappointments. One after another came. Challenges in life, in circumstances, in, you know, situations, relationships, and things. And I just guess I got to a place where I started, because I wasn't being like angry, like Jacob wrestling with God, I was consciously being thankful and grateful. But I think something even more dangerous started happening, where I was just almost robotically praising God, but something on the inside. Like I said, the sunshine wasn't there on the inside anymore. And then I just stopped praying for a period of time as well, because I got to this place where I just was getting so disillusioned, where I just saw nothing changing. And I thought, there's no point. God knows what he's going to do. I can't really change anything. I may ask for things. I feel like sometimes I'm asking for the wrong things because that it seems that they're not happening. But is it wrong to complain to God?
What are you complaining about?
I'll give you one example. I remember at work, I didn't want the stupid vest. They gave me a stupid vest and said that do you want to be a supervisor? In my heart of hearts, I didn't really want to be a supervisor, because I was thinking, this is not my main job. They gave me this stupid vest to wear, which was like, it was more visible so people could see me around. And I remember really challenging them, saying, why do you want to give me this? And they said, well, you know, we've seen you. You seem like a, you know, honest person. We can trust you. And I said, okay, what does it involve? So I was actually asking them questions to say to them, I don't really want to do this. There was also a part of me who was almost thinking, like, I don't understand why you guys are giving me this role. I am not going to allow myself to get any hopes from this, because this job was always supposed to be temporary. They gave me that vest, right? Started wearing a vest. I didn't want to wear the vest. Then everyone because the way that works over there, because you have a little extra colour on your vest, now everyone looks at you like, oh, he's one of the supervisors, or could be a supervisor. So they always made this thing where they were like, we'll prepare you to become a supervisor, but start wearing the vest. I didn't want to wear the vest. I didn't want the supervisor's role. I was only doing this job temporarily. And you know what started to happen? I started to think, oh, maybe this is something, maybe I'm not really appreciating it. Maybe God is actually doing something here. Maybe this could lead to something. So against my own natural thoughts, my first thoughts, well, I don't want this anyway. And then I started to hope for something I didn't even want to begin with. And I started going, oh, maybe God's, and then in the end, they kind of just, someone had dropped out, and in the end, I think someone else became a supervisor after me. So you're supposed to kind of really go in the sort of order of who's just been, and they just jumped over me. And I thought, wait a second. I was like, on the one hand, you guys were telling me that you wanted me to be a supervisor. I don't want to be a supervisor. Now that I am a supervisor, now you treat me like I'm not a supervisor. And I went, you know what? This is why I don't, there's no point even. So what I was getting angry about, your question, what was I complaining about? I was complaining to God of, I don't understand what you're doing. You make no sense to me. And it's almost as if you're hanging something out there in front of me, which I didn't even want, get my hopes up. And then and I just thought, you know what, this is something. And I was complaining to him. I was went, you make no sense to me. You make absolutely no sense to me. And I was thinking, this is kind of symptomatic of many things. And the things that I do want to have happen in my life is another one. So I was complaining. So what was I complaining about in that situation? I was complaining about a stupid vest. And and why they gave me this vest. I didn't want the vest. And then I ended up giving the vest back to them when I saw it. And I just went, you know what? And he said, you giving the vest back? I went, yeah, I can't do this role anyway. I'm only doing this job part-time. And then I said to them, I was like, can you drop me down to 4 days? So they were like, yeah, all right, we'll drop you down to 4 days. And they said, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to give the vest back. I went, that's fine. You can have the vest. I don't want it anyway. And he said, oh, okay, but you can carry on wearing it if you want. And I went, no, I don't want to wear I don't want the vest. I never wanted the vest. So I was complaining to God about that because I just thought, Lord, I don't know what was going on there. It made no sense to me. It seemed like such a waste and an opportunity just to be disappointed again. So that's what I was complaining to him about, a stupid vest. Yeah.
As human beings, God knows that you were going to complain before. So he knew that you were going to be complaining before you were born. Because he created you here. But he doesn't want, if you trust him, you don't complain if you trust. That's why thankfulness comes in. Humanly, we do that. But then we have to look back and say, Lord, I complain. I'm going on my own resources. I forget that you were there. So we come back now and say, Lord, forgive me for complaining. Because when you're complaining, you're not trusting. You may not look at it that way, but when you're complaining, we're not trusting him. So we say, Lord, forgive us for not trusting in you. Right? That's a human nature we're doing there.
Yeah.
But then when we believe, but he's not going to condemn us because we complain, but he said, don't complain. Don't worry.
So he's encouraging us to trust him more.
So we do that. And he says, do not worry. Consider sparrows. Consider lilies. And all of this, he used those illustrations to let us see, I'm the one who is in charge. I'm the one who controls nature. I'm the one who's putting you here. So you don't have to worry. Be concerned. But don't worry, because, when we worry, we get sick, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so we must be in health. We get frustrated. We get fed up. We get this, we get that. And then we do what? We stop praising. But if we keep acknowledging who we are God's children. Because why are we God's children? Not just to say we are God's children, We are God's children because he bestowed his love upon us. And we want to be practical. We want to be real people. We're not to deny what's happening around us and how we're feeling. But we must know that God is there to take us through because he promised, I will never leave you nor forsake you. And he does it in a practical way, like the story I shared the last time.
Yeah.
And he does it all the time around us. Sometimes we're not paying attention. Simple little things that we just ignore. and think, oh, that happened because, just like the job, you may have thought that they just want to push that in you. But maybe it was a lesson there for you to learn, for you to develop, for you to grow.
I still don't know what the lesson is.
For you to grow, to grow, to learn how to handle certain situations.
The only thing I've learned...
But just to give up the vest.
the only thing I learned is go with your first thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, if you didn't want that vest, you should have just said to them, no, I don't want the vest.
You don't want it. So then... It's not God is the problem. It's us.
But then that's almost like me. Let's say that's almost telling me the lesson of, hey, you know how we were saying before, like God will bring opportunities your way. You pray about things, and then God brings you opportunities.
Yes.
How do we know which opportunity is the one? If the lesson there is, hey, remember to say no because you didn't want to wear that. It just seems like a pointless lesson to me. It seems like a pointless lesson to teach me, hey, I don't think that was the lesson. I don't think he was trying to say to me, you should have said no.
But you decide to say no. Okay, you didn't give it a chance. As soon as you saw the vest, immediately, I don't want it. I don't want the supervisor job.
I got disappointed when they jumped me for another supervisor.
Yeah, so that is what happened.
Yeah, I got discouraged by that. Maybe I should have hung in there, but I just felt like, hey, that's wrong. Hey, you guys jumped me. You went to some other guy who's just been and he just started running that supervisor thing, and then he got made into the supervisor fully. And I just went, you know what? And that's what I was thinking. I was just thinking, I almost like God sets me up. It feels like that. God sets me up for a disappointment.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, he says, yeah, I set you up into a situation which was always going to go the wrong way just to show you that you don't trust me. And then I'm thinking, so what? My whole life, you're just setting me up to show that I'm weak in faith. And I feel like that makes me angry with God because I'm thinking, you're proving to me what I already know. I already know that I don't trust you. I already know that I struggle with that. But the circumstances that you bring my way is just to make me even more aware of it. And I just think, wow, Lord, this feels like you're kind of being a bit mean. That's how it feels.
Yeah. So that is why you have to change, and that's what we go through all the time. We have to change our mindset, the way we think, and I will keep repeating myself when we understand who we are and who God is, who we identify ourselves with. Like I heard a minister was saying, he was preaching one morning, and he's talking about what do we identify ourselves with, because we identify ourselves with our career we have.
Right.
We identify ourselves with the church we go to. We identify ourselves with this, whatever we interest in. But we not identify ourselves with God. You know? So he said he asked this lady asked him, are you a Christian? So he said, yes, I am a Christian. So the man asked her, what about you? Are you a Christian? She could not answer yes. She answered to the religion she belonged to.
Right.
So she's identifying herself with the religion that she belongs to. He didn't ask her, what is your religion?
Oh.
You got the point?
Well, she's not a Christian, though.
But she's a Christian.
Oh, she was a Christian.
She's a Christian.
But she
could not just say, yes, she's a Christian. So she identified herself with a religion.
Oh, I see. Like a denomination.
It? Yes.
She said, no, I'm a blah, blah, blah.
Yes, that's what she did. So...
Baptist Christian or Methodist Christian or something like that.
Oh, Adventist Christian.
Or Adventist Christian.
She didn't even say she's Adventist Christian. She just say she identified herself with whatever church she attends.
So she didn't see herself as a Christian.
No, she see herself as
a, let's say, Adventist.
Yes. So people identify themselves with so many things that instead of identifying themselves with God, and that's what we need to do and realize who we are and who God is. And to know that we are a child of God because we understand that His love is bestowed upon us. And then what we're going to do, because we know this, because we understand this, we're going to have faith in Him, because faith in God Himself, that faith comes from Him. We're going to believe in His goodness. We're going to believe in His mercies. We're going to believe in that forgiveness spirit, right? And so when we understand that now, it, as I said before, don't matter what is taking place, the peace of God is within you. The peace of God, the peace with God, and the peace with your fellow men. So in a practical way, we live a practical life because we are children of God and He's our Heavenly Father. So to be practical now, let's be practical now. Because
yeah, it came quick. This is the break. This is the segment that comes. It comes quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll. I think we'll have to pick up. I knew that we've got 3 topics here. I think we did good on all 3 of them, to be fair. We've covered them all, but I think we need to go back to them again.
Yes, especially this one with identifying ourselves.
Yeah, the identity one is one that I'm not sure I fully get it.
Yes.
I got a glimpse of it. Mm-hmm. We spoke about this over the phone maybe before I started the podcast.
Yes.
I remember I said, Aunty Heather had a revelation about what it means to be a child of God.
Yeah.
But I think it's something new for me.
Mm-hmm, yes.
So I think we will come back to that one again. We'll take a break now, everyone, and we'll be back in a minute. This break is just a minute, and then we'll be back to wrap up the show. And me and Aunty will just finish the show. I might do some news. Let's see. Be back in a minute. See ya. Welcome back to TAJ Talks, and that is the end of talk number 9 with Aunty Heather. Thank you, Aunty Heather, for being here.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure being here.
Always a pleasure.
Yes.
Always a pleasure. I enjoy the fact that we get to have these conversations for everyone else to share, and hopefully everyone's been blessed by it.
It's very exciting.
It's still fun doing this. Yeah, I really do enjoy this whole thing. Let's see. I feel sometimes like a Jacob, wrestling with God. Still, I'm still kind of. I was.
You need to relax.
Yeah, but as I do. That's just. Let me just answer that very shortly and say yes, I do. I need to relax more and just let
it
God
flow. Yeah. Yes.
Let go. Let
Yes.
God. I know I need to do that. But the challenges never stop.
Yeah, never stop.
And it makes you question, and the time keeps going forwards, and especially these days, we're talking about the world we're living in.
Yes.
But yeah, you mentioned just something now. You were saying that, you're explaining something to someone, and it often feels like, when Jesus is doing his miracles, and he's doing his miracles to open the eyes of the blind, open the ears of the deaf. I almost feel like that's not an accident that he's doing those miracles, because in a way, I think that's how we are spiritually.
Yeah.
I say it in my prayer when I'm talking to God many times. I say, Lord, you know it. I'm blind. I'm deaf. I'm not able to see what you're trying to show me. I'm not able to hear what you're trying to say. I can't hear. I can't see. And I think that's one of my prayers. I'm just like, Lord, open my eyes, open my ears, open my mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of the things, and I think that's one of the wonderful things about having someone like you around in my life is that I can talk to you about this and share very, very openly about the things that I'm struggling with, and hear from you your guidance. As I say, the oracle,
Yes.
the oracle is Aunty Heather. So I thank you. So thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
How is just before we close? How is Radio ZDK going?
Good, it's going good. We weren't getting it a couple of weeks ago, but praise be to God, it's back on.
Oh, okay.
So yes, I was in. Oh dear, and I felt so And I said, Lord, please, it's time for it to come back on.
Have you sung your song for them?
Yes, I sung it.
You
yeah.
have?
Yes,
I
sang it.
On the Wings?
Yes, I sang that one morning. Yes,
Man.
I did that one.
Yeah. I think
Yes.
I think there's gonna be I think, like I say, you're talking about a book. I'm really looking forward to that book, Auntie Heather, that you're talking about, putting all the stuff into that book.
Yes, I'm going to do it really. As soon as I get settled down, I'm going to just take my time and do these things.
We are going to go and have some food now.
Oh,
We're
yes.
going to
I
head
appreciate
into
that
town.
very much.
So we're going to go and enjoy the rest of our time together.
Yes.
But that really is it. We're coming to the end. We're going to have to do some of these conversations in another podcast. We'll hope to have you back again soon. But yeah, that's it, everyone. I was going to do news, but I don't think there's much point because there's only going to be one news story at the moment. I'll do a quick thing and show you all what's happening. This is the latest news feed. If I go here and I'm now recording, latest news is this is King Charles, William and Harry walk behind the Queen's coffin in final journey from Buckingham Palace. So that's been happening whilst we're doing this. The world continues. We are all making our way through, trying to make sense of it and dealing with the challenges and the ups and the downs. I hope you have all been blessed by this. Auntie Heather, allow you to look to the camera and say your goodbyes.
Well, goodbye. It was lovely being here. And just try prayer. It works. And stay joyful, because joy is within your heart. God loves you. He cares. God bless you all. Nice to be here once again. Have a lovely evening.
Amen. Right, thank you for that, Auntie Heather. And I will. We won't get up. We'll just sit here and carry on. Yeah, I've changed the ending slightly, but that does mean that this is the end. So everybody, man, I've been sitting off center the whole time. Everybody, that leaves me to just say one last thing in case I don't see you. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, and God bless. We'll see you for another TAJ Talk next time. Till then, take care and see ya.